We are. This hangout is on live. Let me go to my face here. Oh, that's awkward.
It's a Borg.
Good way to start
Scott
this.
Jarvie the Borg.
Welcome. 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 So we'll wait here for a moment. People jump in. That's what happens when your video thing drops to the ground. We are live. This is Scott Jarvie reporting for duty. This is the Photography Decathlon, the final stage of the judging. There's been 3 stages. The competition happened back on Friday and Saturday. They had 2 days to photograph 10 styles of photography. These photographers were all given the same basic subjects. Now, if it's like an area thing, like landscapes, which we'll see soon, then they were all given the same landscape area, and they could photograph whatever they wanted in that area. If they were given a product, they've got product category, and they were given certain products that they got to go photograph. And so now we're about to see the best 5. There's been 2 stages in which we've given points to all the pictures, and pictures that made it to the second round got additional points. So in the first round, you were able to get up to 30 points, 25 points with a few extra bonus points given by people that were like, I love this picture, and they had limited amounts to give those bonus points to. In the second round, they got a few extra points, and only those that made it to the second round got those additional points. And then we had another like 10 judges from around the country go in there, do that judging. It was a little bit more involved. They looked at technicality, creativity, and the aesthetics, of course, again, and gave a few extra bonus points. And now we are at the 3rd stage of judging, where we are here, boom, 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 with a few judges from around the country. Now, I, Scott Jarvie, am not a judge tonight. I will be helping facilitate this conversation about the pictures we're about to look at. First of all, we're going to go over here from left to right with Ben Canales. I feel like I should be a game show host. Ben Canales, step right up and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Ben Canales, based out of Portland, Oregon, and night photography is my big thing, but I also am a co-owner of a video production company, and we just do photos, time-lapse, slow-motion aerials on like a regular job basis. So I've got a lot of respect for these guys and gals that are out here doing 10 subjects in 2 days. It takes a big diversity of skills to pull this off. So excited to see the photos we got tonight. Well,
thank you. That's that. And I know Jim, yeah, so when we get to the night subjects, we're definitely going to be talking to Ben.
I'll just shut up. I'll just shut up during that section.
All right. Jim, tell us what you got.
Hey, I'm Jim Harmer. My website's Improve Photography. I run a podcast network and a daily blog there. And I do a lot of travel and landscape photography, but I do portraits and other stuff as well. I kind of like just anything in photography. Everybody tells me that I should find my own niche, but I can't. I like them all.
All right. Thanks, Jim. We got Scott, long time. Let me just preclude this right here. Me and Scott kind of worked a little bit on a show a little while back, which we still both love. So we like doing this little on air sort of hangout and show. So go for it, Scott.
Yeah, we used to do that, the Iron Editor, to edit 10 images in 1 hour, or 5 images. It was pretty brutal. I'm Scott Detweiler. I'm a conceptual portrait and boudoir photographer out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Basically do a lot of educational stuff as well. I speak at some pretty large conferences around the nation, teaching mostly lighting and post-production techniques and some different kind of things along that line. So happy to be here. It's great to be back doing some really fun, interesting competitions live via Hangout. So this is awesome. Been a while.
Thanks. All right, moving on over to further towards the East Coast here with Varina. How's it going?
I'm doing all right, Scott. I'm Varina Patel. I'm a wilderness photographer, nature photographer, landscape photographer, whatever you want to call me. I do a lot of macro too. I teach video courses on location all over the world, sell those on our Visual Wilderness website, and yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
Cool.
Good. I'm just looking down here, making sure people are on. They're able to view. We've got some viewers. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen and introduce what we've got going on. I'm very proud of the website. So still a work in progress, but it's awesome. I had someone that had created quite a large photography website doing some of the judging the other day, and he's like, man, this is pretty cool. I guess maybe he just thought I couldn't do something like this. I don't know. But he's like, you put a lot of thought into this. And I did. I wanted to make sure that that this is, first of all, our judging is blind. They have no clue who took the picture. If they even have an inkling, we tell them to skip not just the picture, but the whole category so that it doesn't affect any of the other pictures, right? And then we could have as many judges or as little, and it just scaled beautifully. But we also wanted to make sure that it was kind of done in stages so that the better pictures got even more points. And tonight, the top pictures get lots of points. And the ones deciding that are the 4 before you. All right, so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and share the screen. A little inner workings here, folks, I guess. Let's share this screen, where we can go to judging, go to the 2016 event, and see our assignments before us tonight. We're going to start with intermediate. We're going to start with an easy one to begin with, a fun one to begin with. We're going to go, how about we just start in order? It's still fun. We're going to go to intermediate architecture. So if every one of the judges could click on intermediate architecture, you can kind of go through the pictures, and some of them have already looked through the pictures. And presently there's not but you could just click on the next picture, next picture, next picture, and the next picture. And I'm actually going to bring up a little control panel to see if I can see the conversation from people on the outside, because I won't be doing most of the talking here in just a moment. It's going to be these guys. So,
Scott, I got a question for you.
Yes.
The locations here, were they like running out on their own to find them, or were you like, here are some addresses that might have some good stuff to shoot?
So in the architecture division, that's right. Good call. I will kind of tell you what the expectations were. They were images of a building or an entire building or a part thereof, just architecture. And if you look over here, we are an intermediate, and I'll make it sure it's stuck on me. We're on stage 3, intermediate, architecture, and the subject that they chose, they got 3 to 4 subjects, sometimes 5 subjects that they got to choose from, meaning everyone had the same options available to them, and that's what makes it beautiful. It's not about, I live in Utah, I've lived here for 20 years, therefore I'm going to win. It's about being able to schedule your time, strategize, work with your team, either divide and conquer, go together, and kind of figure out where you'd go. They had a lot of things to do, so sometimes they picked the easier locations to get to. Sometimes they were 2 hours away to get to those locations. And places like this, they were just downtown, the Utah State Capitol building.
I have a quick question as well. How much post-production was permitted on the images?
There is unlimited amount of post-production as long as they photographed everything during that event and everything applied. Like if they wanted to add textures, they had to create their texture at that event and photograph it at that location if it was location based.
All right. First of all,
Now,
I've got to say that is awesome. Thank you for doing that. Every competition I see is like, no post-processing your images, even though that's a major part of photography today. So gold star to Scott.
Agreed.
And if, you know, like that's up to the judges. Let's be honest. Like if a judge really hates post-processing, which won't be Jim, apparently, you got his heart if you got some post-processing. We leave it up to them to decide. And like some people think, I don't have enough time to post-process. And I would say, well, I would do the competition without post-processing hardly at all. My famous 30-second edits is what I would be doing. No, I'd probably spend a couple more. All right. So let's start it off. While you guys talk, I will be able to and share your screen for a moment because I want to go and make sure people know what we're doing here and are watching. So take it away. Let's start talking about this picture, where you guys feel it belongs in the scheme of things.
I love this composition.
Yeah, I like the idea of the capital reflecting in the water. The one thing that I wasn't so comfortable with it is, well, I guess two things. Is one is the Capitol dome goes right up very uncomfortably close to the top of the image, and I feel like the lens was maybe a little too wide here, and so it really distorts these rings, making them feel well, distorted. I think if we scooted back a couple feet and zoomed in, I think it would control that distortion a little bit more.
I agree with.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say, Jim, I agree with you on the, you know, how close that the top of that building is to the top of the image. The distortion doesn't bother me too much, and I love the way the frame is filled really, you know, I mean, it's tight, but that doesn't bother me too much. What bothers me more than anything about this particular image, and I really do like the image, but I think what bugs me about it is the post-processing is a bit heavy to me. The greens are pretty intense. There's some heaviness to the image, and it's not just from that heavy, you know, stormy sky. It's the heavy post-processing feel to it.
I agree with Varina.
Yeah,
It kind of like nods back to the old heavy HDR days.
Yep.
It is. It looks like a heavy HDR to me, and you can see the blurring in the trees. There's a bit of a halo going on there.
Right.
And I agree with the distortion from the sphere. It doesn't bother me so much. It is a bit tight, so if you were to mat this image, you'd be pushing it. So as far as a frameable print, this is really going to kind of suffer. But the thing that bothers me is a little bit too much vibrance, and the HDR processing is just the HDR. Whenever the sky looks really exceptionally dark, I tend to kind of, you know, I don't know. This image was good without this amount of post-production. So
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what we're saying here is that we need where's the nice judge? Who's jumping in as the nice judge? We're starting off heavy on this.
it's a great image. It's a great image.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I love the symmetry here. I love that you know, I mean, it's a unique composition getting in that close to the foreground. You've got this beautiful reflection in the water. You've got this, you know, the textures in the sky are gorgeous. I want to start over with the post-processing, but other than that, honestly, I think it's gorgeous. I love the flag in it. You know, you've got this beautiful little American flag blowing in the breeze.
The pebble detail in the water.
Oh yeah.
It's a great picture, but it's like it was pushed farther than it really needed to be. Is really the answer.
Yeah, I like those little lights in the bottom windows, and I wish
I was going to say that
window. The curtains are closed on the fifth window. I'm like,
yeah, I noticed that.
Broken. My OCD is like twitching, and it's not the photographer's fault; it's location situation. But I do like how they tunnel in.
That's actually why I asked about post-production earlier. There's absolutely no reason that if you were going to take the time to HDR this thing as far as it was, why not just take that fifth window and clone it over there, and with the reflection and make it perfect.
Yeah, I would not complain if they cloned the window.
You know, I'm sitting here wondering, is the crane in the far edge of the image on both sides, is that really what was going on there? Is there some sort of construction that's going?
I don't think it's a crane. I think they're street lights.
Yeah, I think they're street lights.
Oh, okay. It looks like a construction crane from a building, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually find those a little bit distracting. I might have cropped in.
Yeah, it makes one side feel weighted subconsciously.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep this moving. That's my job tonight.
Oh.
We were too slow.
We can't just stick it with one image for.
I've got this as number 3 for me right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
This is my number 2.
All right, so let's kind of, what picture do you believe? What are you going to put a little bit higher than that, Scott?
Now let me look at them right now. Okay, let's go with let's go with the picture and the reflection. So the reflection in a puddle. So I really like the composition of this image. I like the weight, the center weighted. It is a bit tight against the top. I wish the sky were a bit more there, but it doesn't really kill me that it's completely gone. But I really like the weight of the fence and the reflection. It's just a really nicely done image. It's clean. It feels like a well thought through photograph.
Yeah, the details are really nice in this shot. The processing in this one is a little more subtle, quite a bit more subtle. Love that foreground.
Here's the question, guys, is if you look in the water, you actually see some blue details and some highlight details that, you know, the stop down reflection is maintained. So did they need to expose it that bright and lose the sky, or could that also be in the sky if it was just stop down?
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I think the sky could have been rescued.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like the sky was kind of cool. Looks like there's detail in the sky that was just completely blown out.
For overexposing in camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missed opportunity there.
So where you guys put this, who's putting this above that first picture?
Scott Detweiler would. I would put that just from the simple post-processing standpoint, although I believe it is, again, more of an exposure issue. This could have been a better image had they left the exposure a little, just a half a stop down. Probably looks. I mean, if I'm looking at the water, that's probably about a stop less or half a stop less. It would have been ideal.
Cool. Let's go to another picture. Varina, what's going to be your top picture from this category?
I really like this, the columns going off towards the stairwell.
Ooh, there you go.
Bright whites. Yeah,
I agree.
That's a nice shot. I think the, again, I love the symmetry, but I also love the simplicity of this shot. It's very simple. It's very beautiful. There are some elements that are distracting. You've got the doorway on the left. You've got these red,
It's the exits. It's the exit signs. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
This is what prompted me to ask about the edit. I would have taken that out instantly.
Oh yeah.
Well,
oh yeah.
you
That'd
have
be gone
to,
so fast. So.
I mean, you guys are, have done a lot of photography over the years. Sorry, I need to.
Fair enough.
And we are in the intermediate division, not the advanced division. So, keep that in mind. Give the constructive criticisms. I'm sure they're loving to hear that, and everyone else is loving watching that. So, I just wanted to point out really quickly about something fun. The governor of Utah is giving out what's called he's giving out the governor's award to the best picture of the Capitol building. He went through, before we even started the judging, we sent him quite a few of almost all of the Capitol building pictures. His secretary went into him, had 10-15 minutes. He went through it, had a hard time, I guess, is what I heard. I don't know which picture won, because I told her not to tell me until the judging is over. And that picture is going to go inside of the Capitol building in their big studio room where everyone comes in. So,
Cool.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And similar things, we're doing similar things with the state parks, in that the state parks are giving awards to their 5 favorite pictures of the 5 state parks that we used during the event. So.
Sweet.
That's just a little side note I thought I'd share. Jim, what's going to be your top picture from this?
Wait, can I jump back in on this thing?
Yeah.
I'm stoked on this one. So before we go, we talked about the last image being overexposed, and this one, obviously a lot could have been done to protect some of those brighter lights, but I love the blown out nature. I feel like Beauty and the Beast is about to come down that stairwell and just start waltzing in front. So that bright and celebratory feel of this is awesome. And I know you guys are hashing on those exit signs in there, but the red kind of whatever those down there, and this is my number 1.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm quiet.
I want to add one tiny little other thing too.
No, you're done, Varina. You had your time.
I'm not.
Go ahead.
Quiet, moderator.
This is like the presidential debate. I don't listen to the moderator at all.
Are you shutting me down? No.
I'll take any of you for president over what
Yeah.
we have now.
I agree with that.
I like this image bigly, very bigly.
Bigly, yeah. No, I am bigly happy with the the width of this crop. I really like the wide crop, the panorama feel to it. And I think it really adds to the composition. So I want to just, give my little thumbs up for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and as far as the blown out nature, this one doesn't bother me. And again, let's kind of use Ansel Adams as an example here. From a zone standpoint, the photographer picks their middle ground from a subjective or artistic standpoint, and you've got to go to the white and the no white, no detail. I think that they picked perfectly to make that staircase what it is, because it is the focus of this. So I have no issue with the exposure of this image at all. It's just the exit signs draw me away from where I should be going, which is up the staircase. I'm kind of like, what's that red thing? So it's like overly red lipstick in a portrait. I go to the lips instead of the eyes first, and I feel that's not really the way that I should be going. I should explore the image starting with the eyes, and I'm going right to the exit sign and then the staircase. That's the only reason why I don't like the red here.
Yeah, I like that.
It's still so far though, I think it is the best image of these though. It is very good.
Yeah.
Okay. I am just getting some feedback from some people, so I'm going to be, hopefully you guys don't mind, sharing the pictures a little bit more than your faces. Just FYI. I guess they want to know, but I'll do a good job. I'm the one switching back and forth, so.
Oh, they can't see all of us at the same time.
They can see you down below, so.
Oh,
That's good enough. That's good enough.
But they want the picture big.
See more of this.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, picture big.
All right, maybe I'll talk about this one of the city center temple with the sculpture in the front. First of all, I love to see some interest going on in the clouds. It may or may not be a little bit dark. I don't know what the sky looked like that day.
Oh, do you guys want to know what they were experiencing?
Yes, I would.
They had quite the stormy beginning. It started Thursday night with a downpour, which is going to make for some interesting street photography stuff, by the way. And then Friday, continuous clouds like this. I'm gathering that this was probably Friday. And a lot of rain. So a lot of people had these like big, grandiose idea to do star pictures, which got spoiled Thursday and Friday night.
I'm out of here.
So Ben,
bummer.
the night pictures may be a little bit less stars and more something else. But the interesting thing is you'll see how people.
Sorry, go ahead.
See how some people adapted. They adapted, and they're like, well, you know where it's not raining? Up in the mountains with the snow. So, all right, Varina, what'd you say?
I was just going to say what they did get in these locations is the beautiful puddles, the reflection we were talking about before. They got gorgeous textures in the sky, and they got really nice even lighting that makes outdoor photos like this one much simpler. You don't have to worry about those blown highlights and really dark shadows that you get on a sunny day.
Yeah, some pretty unique clouds in this one. All right, Jim, were you
the composition is what I wanted to talk about on this one, though, is the camera I feel like needs to just be scooted a little bit to the right. We have more space to the left of the statue than I feel like is necessary. And on the right side, the building is really creeping in because of the distortion, but also it's just very uncomfortably close to the right side. I think it would have been fine if we would have cropped in on the building on the right side, but I think we would have to do a much heavier crop. Here, it's just kind of cutting a little skiff off the side of the temple here, and so it just feels very uncomfortably close there. So just twist the camera a little bit to the right, and I think it would improve this shot quite a bit.
Okay. If you guys have not already done your judging over here on the right-hand side, go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I will go ahead and introduce the people to the second category. We're getting into our groove. We're going to aim for cutting the time in about half. Just to keep it going.
We just warmed up.
We're just getting warming up. We're just warming up. By the time we get to the advanced division, we'll be flowing. All right. So,
wait, I have a comment on that last image. Can we talk about that one more time?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this last one.
Well, I'm still about the statue image. I had a quick comment on that one.
Go ahead, share it.
So I completely agree with Jim on the crop is the whole problem with this image. I feel like there's all these wonderful flowers that just kind of in the image, but could have been a much bigger player. Like I feel a little bit more of a downward pan would have been good. It would have straightened the architecture a bit because we're kind of. I feel like it isn't straight. And then he's right. It's like the building just kind of got slivered off, so it's an unintentional cut. So I think a step backwards would have made this image just much better. Almost not to use like the rule of thirds as like just a guide for things, but that statue is just a little low in the frame for me. Like I feel I wanted a little bit more because all these flowers, this color is pulling my eye right off the picture. So I would have wanted a little bit more. This is just the crop. Everything else I like. I mean, the clouds are a little dark, and there's some chromatic aberration around the statue and the clouds. But I'm not going to nitpick that much at this level. But it's a good image. It just needed a step backwards.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Step back, pan a little bit to the right. It solves it helps solve your little tilt issue there. And I agree about the flowers. They feel a little cramped at the bottom.
All right. Now we're moving. We're moving over to the next one down. Lock it in. I will show people the next one, which is intermediate cityscape. And I'll go from picture to picture, showing that we allowed them to shoot at Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak again. Heber Valley Overlook. I just was like, I don't know. Should I put this in? Should I put this in? It is not a typical city. It is way out there. It is. I don't know.
I see. There's a city in the foreground, isn't there? There's a foreground in the
yeah, but it's a tiny little town. So I'm excited to see something there. And then we had Ensign Peak, and we had Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak is a strategic play, I must admit, because it is downtown and central and close to other locations. It's good for the game because you didn't have to drive. The other one, you had to drive quite a ways out there. So I'm just giving a rundown for the people that are judging. Cityscape, you guys know that. It just had to have they had to be in a certain area, and then they had to have some bit of city in their picture. And that was the expectation. And I am going to change this up a little bit. We're going to try to change up the way that we chat about it each time. Does anyone have any particular, I want to champion this particular picture?
I do. The one of the sky with the yellow on the right and the blue on the left. I think it's awesome. Really happy with the picture. It probably has a little bit too much vibrance for my taste, but the color in the sky is so cool. I think it's awesome. I like it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Not because I don't like that image. It's fine. It's a lovely image, but I actually prefer the more subtle image of the same location.
Which was the one above, right here? Or the one below?
Yeah, that one. Nope, you got it. Not that one. Wait. Yep, that one. The one with the little corner of grass on the bottom right. And I actually find that little bit of grass slightly distracting, but I prefer the softer look of this image to the somewhat overprocessed feel of the other. I think that those really intense greens and the unnatural feel to the sky, the blues and the mountains in the distance on the left-hand side of the image you guys were talking about a minute ago, it just doesn't feel right to me. I think the more subtle feel really works much better for me.
And we do know that both, as an outside opinion, they're both valid arguments here.
Mm-hmm.
And if one, if it does sway you a little bit, that's fine. You can change. That's what this conversation's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, and something like that, it comes down to personal preference too.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Varina here. I much prefer the one that isn't pushed. That it's just pushed too much vibrance for me. Now it looks almost like an alien world instead of what I think was a really great cloudscape. It's been pushed way farther than it needed to be. But I'm going to throw my vote in for the one that you aren't sure should be considered as a city or not, the Heber Valley Overlook.
Oh no, I meant it's totally a city, but I was just excited that someone did it.
Yeah, this is my number one image. This is my number one image. Beautiful play of light across the mountains. I mean, it's just amazing. Yes, it may not be the most cityscape, The clouds are perfectly done. There's not too much push or pull on this. Exposure is brilliant. I think this is a beautiful picture. I have nothing to pick apart other than maybe a bit of the foreground, or I say not the foreground so much, but the bottom third of the image is a bit on the dark side. But I don't know how much more you could have pushed or pulled that without losing the detail in that middle range, that orange stripe across the hills in the front there. That's just brilliant. I really like this picture. It's very center weighted. Your eye goes right into there, and there's a emotion. We all know what it felt like to stand there. You know, the temperature, the feel, how the air. I mean, it's really a great emotional image to me.
All right, I'm loving this. This is great. We're getting into our groove already. I may mention here for a moment that our numbers are going up, and if people want to share, we're obviously got quite a few more categories to go. Tell your friends that they're going to learn some stuff, see some cool pictures, and also kind of like start to strategize in their mind for the next event that we do. Like, what would I have done? All right, but I want to go to Ben here and see what you're thinking.
This one?
No, on anyone you want to talk about. Do you want to champion one in particular?
Jimmy swayed me. I love this Heber Valley, and I put it down the bottom because it felt like it was cheating. It wasn't a cityscape, but I love it as an image. So if it's qualifying, like, it's the best image here in this group. Jimmy said,
can it qualify? Just so people back home know, like, there's a technical judge. They give deductions if it doesn't meet expectations. And if it doesn't meet expectations, those deductions, it's not disqualification, deductions would make it almost impossible to even make it to second round.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it to second round.
In my traditional term of like cityscape, this isn't what I imagined, but it's in here, and other judges have pushed it up here. So I think by far it's the best image in the group, for all the reasons that Jim said. So I won't harp on it. It's a gorgeous image. Varina, I think you and I are both on the same opinion with the over-processing, like that super colorful one. Like, holy cow, like a black and white, and just boost a little bit of the golden streets. And that there's so much texture in there. So my next number 2 is that vertical, and you know, it's a tough. I don't know. It's a weak number 2. I like that they've got the traffic trails in the base of the image in there. And I don't know, just when I can think of like cityscapes, this kind of more comes to mind. But that Heber Valley is a stunning image. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with that too. I actually think that Heber Valley, that's my top image, with the one I was talking about before as my second at this point.
All right, we are going to end it by talking about this final image down below. So whoever has a thought on that one, go ahead and share it.
Well, this is Scott. I'll throw in here. I think it's okay. I'm not like elated with it. I think my problem was that it's a bit crowded in toward the top. It also feels like it's a bit off of vertical by about 4 or 5 degrees, which is something I'm kind of sensitive to. So I think it's a little bit of a straighten and a little bit of a lower. There's really nothing interesting in this first bit, this black sliver that kind of runs across the bottom front, and I would like a little bit more skyline, just so my eye tends to go to somewhere toward the upper left-hand side. It feels like I'm pushing. Again, if this were to be framed, I would be cropping in a bit with a mat, and I just feel it feels tight to me. It also doesn't feel like it's the most crisp image in the world. It's like a lot of haze, almost like the camera wasn't allowed to reach temperature before they shot it with it. But that might be there's rain. I really can't tell, but it's okay. It's not a poor image by any extent, but it's just not one that turned my crank like the Valley one. It's just amazing.
I don't think it has the impact that some of the other images have, and to me, it's the color. It's a very brown image, which makes it feel almost as if there's sort of a smog hanging over the city. I would shift those colors towards blue, or try and pull out some gold there, although I'm not sure that's going to work for you. But you know, I think it's the color that really hurts it.
And on auto white balance, the camera will tend to put cities that color.
Yes.
All right.
That's true.
So go ahead and lock it in.
Yeah, one last thought.
Okay.
One last thought. Talking about someone would have stood in there, we're looking over their shoulder, like bam, hands down for me on that one. I feel like there's a couple images here that looking over someone's shoulder would root me into that feeling of being there.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, lack of a foreground element.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, I'm done.
All right. I just wanted to also mention before we go to the next one that I found the YouTube conversation here. So if people start typing over there, I can see what they write. So they're saying at the beginning, they were saying they couldn't see the photo. So, but
Hey, Scott, is there a way you can link to that to us so we can actually see those too? Or do you want to share those?
Yeah, I can indeed. I'll put that in the chat conversation. There you go.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay, while you're locking that in, I'm going to move over to intermediate, and that went a lot better, a little faster. We're going to landscape, and I will show them some of the areas that were used while it's loading here. So we've got Guardsman Pass, which is an area of the Uintas, about an hour and a half at least from downtown Salt Lake City. So it's quite the drive. Usually closed almost all year round except for 3 months. Then we had another image, which was also Guardsman Pass. As you can see, there was some snow. And then we had another image of Guardsman Pass. Or are they all just, is this thing broken?
Or you have an amazing place to take pictures.
There's one of the Albion Basin there, but they're almost all guards.
There's the Albion Basin. There we go. And guards. Wait. Oh, up here. Guardsman Pass. Okay. All right. So you should be done locking in your votes. Jump on over here.
I haven't even started to lock in my phone.
Trying to share a link
No,
right now,
on the
David.
last one.
You mean for the last one?
Oh, yeah. No, all right. We're golden there.
Let's just skip this over here. Ray Vision said, really digging the analytical thoughts. Great. We're going to keep on trying to give the analytical thoughts by doing them. You know, we don't have to pick apart every single one of them. Give a few good thoughts, a couple constructive things, and then we'll keep on going. They're going to get enough thoughts throughout this night to last them weeks.
So I have a thought to throw out here because I'm going to be a non-traditional guy. I am not a landscape portrait guy. Okay, I am coming at this from a landscape guy. I'm a portrait person. So I'm just going to come at this purely from an analytical point, or not an analytical point, but I like this picture.
Okay.
I want to go with the Guardsman Pass picture.
Which
I see what he did there. All right. No, I'm going to go, and this is going to be really weird to you guys. I'm going to go with the one with all the pine trees with the snow.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, hands down.
Now, I love this picture because it has a feel to it. It's very, it's solemn. It emotes a feeling. It's not overdone. It's the only thing I wish I would have is that a little less sky and a little more foreground pine trees. This could have been slanted down a bit, only for the diagonal that I have going off and fading to the upper left could terminate more in the corner. So, but that is so minor, and for all I know, this is cropped up because there's a lot of, say there's some distracting elements in the bottom. But I like this picture. I immediately like this picture. It's maybe not the strongest picture here, but personally, I like the picture. Now,
yeah.
I'm just going to throw it in there. It's a strong 3 and up for me. I'm
going to agree and disagree with you. I disagree that this is not the strongest picture here. I think it is the strongest picture here. I think it is the strongest in a lot of ways. And you you talk about the feel of it. There is a very strong feeling in this image that I think it's easy to use flashy color. It's easy to bump up your saturation. It's really difficult to get an image, use a monotone composition, create a monotone composition, and come away with an image this strong. There's incredible depth here. The contrast in the foreground is totally different from the contrast in the distance because of the fog. It is gorgeous. It's just breathtaking. I love it.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I really liked it, and I thought I'm going to be, as the portrait guy, I'm going to be singled out and go, what are you thinking? No. I just really, like, of all the pictures that are here, this is one that I wouldn't mind having a print of. I mean, I'm like, wow. Because I would look at this, and yeah, it's not happy-go-lucky, but I'm like, wow, it emotes a feeling, and that's something I look for in landscape, because I'm surrounded by my planet. So the only differentiator between what I can see and a print or something that someone captured with the camera is a feeling it would emote. I wasn't there. I like this picture.
Yeah.
Does anyone, and let's take this, I know you guys may have thoughts on this picture. Does Jim or Ben, do you have one that you like even more?
Jim, you got an
Well,
opinion?
I guess two things. I really do like the image of the pine trees, but I do feel like the composition is really loose. We have this really strong line coming down in the pine trees, and then it just kind of goes to randomness on the right. So I feel like the composition just isn't there. It just kind of feels a little bit like a random chunk of forest to me. I really like the composition in the photo of the road. The problem here is obviously this is pretty pushed very far with the color, but the composition itself, I really like the composition. It's cool that they have a person here. The little bend in the road is really neat. And so for me, I love this image. I just wish I could throw it into Lightroom and take it easy on the vibrance here. But the composition is so strong that it wins me over.
Yeah, I
I'm with
agree
Jim
with
on
you
this
on the
one.
composition. Go ahead.
I actually don't like
I'm with
the
Jim on
person.
this one, and because we're in the intermediate bracket, I'll allow for the processing. Same thing, Jim. All the opinions you're saying, but love the curve, love the person, the fog, everything's going to that point, and then there's like that person in the end. That's the one that does it for me. And because we're in the intermediate, it's like I can be like, I mean, the color, the softness, it's bugging me, but I like this one.
Yeah, it's one slider. Just move it over, and it's a great shot.
It's like the clarity slider kind of took a vacation in part of the image. You know,
Yeah.
in this case, for instance, I don't like the person. I think that the feel of the road going off kind of into the infinite there, it's, again, a solemn feeling where the person's kind of like, well, I'm
There's
intruding
a
on him.
homeless man in the road.
Yeah, he's already there. You know, now I'm watching him and I'm creepy, where before it was just me, and now it's
No,
weird.
I like the
So,
person, actually. I think the person's cool.
it's a focus for the image where I don't know that it needed one, but that's just, again, an opinion. If this hasn't been pushed so far, it would be a wonderful image.
Yeah.
I'm going to chime in with
Go
an
ahead.
opinion from my sister-in-law, who said,
Also not yours, Scott.
no, not mine, because I can't have opinions, because I know some of this. She's like, it's just so interesting to see how people see different things differently. When she saw this, she saw color. I love color. And she's not very, like, super technical on photography. And then when she saw this, she's like, okay, now I know that's good, but it doesn't have color, so that's not for me. So it's just so interesting.
Well, here's where the color falls apart for me in this shot. If you look at the snow in the foreground in the center of the road, it is distinctly yellow, which to me means that somebody peed in it.
That guy.
That's not what I want for my snow. I love the composition. I love the flow. I kind of agree.
Oh, someone needs to not be typing while...
Somebody needs to stop typing on their typewriter.
I did not know it was that loud. I will never do that again in my life.
Embarrassing.
No, but I think, that I kind of agree that the guy there, to me, he stops the flow. There's this beautiful flow happening here, and he kind of blocks it a little bit for me. So I agree with that. But yeah, to me, the color of the trees on the right, which are distinctly yellow, and more than that, the color of the snow, I can't take the yellow of the snow. That's it. But I actually have this as my number 2 because I really like the composition.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's give a thought about this top picture from 3 of you.
The top
that
picture?
aren't typing.
This one from the aerial shot. I this is cool, but to me, there's just there's no composition happening in the shot. I'm going to share my screen here to make sure it's clear which one I'm talking about. It's really neat. The color's awesome. There we got fog and snow and pine trees, but it's just kind of like a random chunk of forest going on. There's no distinct shape that the compositional elements that the different things in the photo is making. And so it just doesn't feel very solid. Feels like we could have scooted the camera way to the right, way to the left, and we would have had exactly the same thing. So I think that's where it falls down. But the mood of it and the scene itself is really gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a little bit tilted to the right, which bugs me a bit. I'd want to tilt it and fix that right away. But yeah, there's no real point of interest. My eye is kind of all over the place, which is, again, it's a lovely shot, but it doesn't have the impact that some of these others do.
I only put it as my fourth because I don't mind somewhat the repetitive color, but I agree it's not a picture that kind of just leaps off the paper and makes you want to. So I really want to print to that one, but it's not a bad picture at all. I mean, it's not over processed, which is the thing I'm starting to kind of hand out now. You didn't over process the image. Nicely done.
All right. We are going to go to a couple of thoughts on this. Ben, if you want to start with one, since we didn't get you on the last one.
Yeah, this one's the end of the list for me. I mean, these are tough conditions. It's overcast. It's blown out. Sorry, not the image. The light is really difficult. Yeah, it's a beautiful scene, but like, give me something more. Put something a little bit closer. It's like they found a nice viewpoint. They found a nice moment, snapped a shot, and then moved on. But I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. And the dark tree in the right is kind of cool, but kind of weird. The colors are beautiful, but sorry. This one's on the bottom for me.
Okay. We're gonna keep moving. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No, you're good.
We're gonna go to this one. So if anyone has a thought on this one, and then we're gonna move to the next subject.
I like this image. I love the trees in the foreground and the mountains in the background. The depth of field. I mean, some might consider that kind of erroneous for a landscape picture, but I like the mottled colors in the background. So this one is not I put this at number 3. I put it right in the middle. I like it a lot. It has a lot of character, and it's not over processed. It's nice.
We'll get one more thought on this.
Yeah, they didn't go for the wide open viewpoint. Like they put something for us to look at, which I really appreciate.
Okay. All right, go through that. And what they're doing over here on the side is, if it's their first place image, they put that in the first place column and then down the row. Now, I will say that the computer kind of figures out, like, if you all picked it as first place, obviously it's first place, but it figures it all out and assigns them points. A lot of extra points, actually, for this final round, because that's what we did. Every picture gets some points. But if you had the very best picture, you deserve a lot more points. and obviously, if you get the first place on this picture, that's good. But the main goal of the competition is for your team to have the most points overall. So every point counts. And we're going to go back here to night photography. Let's see how this goes.
Ben's already tapping his foot.
He's like, where are the stars?
Bring on the night.
Oh, man. Kudos to the participants. It's such a bummer when you're so stoked to do like a big starry night shot and then it's just clouds and rain everywhere. Like, a little part of you dies when you have to accept it.
It breaks your sorry heart. I've been there. Oh.
I mean, especially in Utah, like some epic dark sky spots, but it doesn't look like there's a clear moment for like 500 miles in this area.
We're going to start with you, Ben. And just if you're going to do a ton of typing, I think people are saying just, you can mute for a moment with the button up top. It says mute microphone. And just make sure to come back in. I don't think the clicking, I think they understand that you have to click back and forth between the pictures, so that's fine.
All right, do you want me to speak on any particular one or champion one?
Yep.
I'm loving, let's see, number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
this,
they are different. They are different. I think they're randomized. So, are they randomized? Do you have the same order as me?
Yeah, yes. You're 4th down.
Oh,
the
so
light
we
trails
in advance and didn't randomize.
Yeah, the light
these.
trails.
Good job, our programmers. Okay.
Everyone went for a good like landscape building view, and these guys like added in the traffic passing by, and they did a good job keeping everything within exposure limits. Yeah, I like being in the town in this moment and how they combine things. So this would be my choice for this bracket here.
Yeah, you got my attention on that one, Ben. I was kind of I kind of missed it a little bit. I looked at it, kind of passed over it, and so when you said that was your favorite. I'm going back and looking at it, and I actually agree with you. I really like the uniqueness of it. It is unique. I don't know if I'm going to put it as my number one yet, but you made me look.
Monkeys always look. All right.
That's half the
Yeah,
battle, right? Getting somebody to look. So
Yeah, this is Scott. I locked this one as my number one as well. For a lot of the reasons Ben mentioned is I can't find anything in it that bothers me. I mean, I enjoy the picture, so I feel a sense of presence with it. It emotes a feeling, and there's nothing that jumps out at me to say that it's, hey, I pushed the process too much, or it does what it's supposed to do. I'm here. I love it.
You do know that there's going to be a few photographers looking at this and they're going to cringe. They're going to go, I try to avoid cars driving through my scene. And now they're telling me that it's all right?
It's just, it adds it adds a nice element to, I mean, if the streaks hadn't been there, the image would not have any sort of play against these other images. I feel it really would kind of lack. That really helps the story.
I felt very different on this one. In this one with the light trails, it felt like, I mean, a full 30% of the photo is just pure black with absolutely nothing happening in the sky, and I feel like maybe this isn't as creative. I mean, it's like night photography in the city. All right, find a street, wait for a car to come by, and get a light trail. I don't know. It just didn't capture me as much as this. I don't know. I don't remember there being a building behind the Utah Capitol, so I'm guessing this is from a drone. But I really liked this photo of the Capitol.
Okay.
Yeah. The one of the Capitol I think is super cool. I like that there's something going on in the sky, especially where there were those clouds. I think it's cool to include it, and I think it's a really unique perspective to be up in the air but close. It's not like we're way far from a mountain zoomed in on this. You can feel that we're in there close. So I think it's just a cool, unique perspective on the Capitol building.
Do the water droplets there on the lens bug you, Jim?
If you cross your eyes enough, you don't even see them.
See, it's interesting. I put this as my last image. This is rank 5 for me. If the water droplets on the image, they bother me considerably. I keep wanting to wipe my screen off. Also, the highlight is lost in the ring all the way around the Capitol Rotunda there, as well as the skylights. So it feels like the gamut of the image has been reduced significantly, as if it is a much, like you almost say like an 8-bit or lesser camera. If you look at the blues and the horizon there, and on the far right side, feel like they're almost burned pixels into the image, and it really just, my eye goes right to those after I get done with the raindrops. So yeah, I just did not like this image. I mean, from the perspective standpoint, it's beautiful, but it just, the camera is suffering here.
It's probably a DJI Phantom, so it probably is suffering.
Yeah.
It's not great. But I just thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool perspective.
It is.
And I like the overall aesthetic of it.
Well, I tell you what, my favorite is the third, the one right in the middle there, number 3. I love this black and white conversion. It's a very strong black and white to me. You've got deep blacks, you've got bright whites, but you don't have either of those overwhelming the image. You have a beautiful range of tones from very dark to very light. And I love what's happening with the flag there. You know, just enough movement that you can see it's moving. It looks so bedraggled. That is looking flag, but it's really beautiful. And the details in this shot really are just gorgeously rendered.
I agree.
We should
This was
mention
my
that
number 2,
there was
really strong.
There was a tornado in Utah the day before, Thursday, which doesn't happen to us very often. So, not at the Capitol, but that's just okay. Who was about to talk?
I'll throw in. I actually had this as my number 4, but after her explanation, I think I do like it better than. So there's one other picture of the rotunda there that is in color and is perspective corrected, almost as if taken longitudinally to the Capitol building. And I had that one ranked above it, but I agree with all her points. So I'm gonna switch the 2. I'm gonna push the black and white up into 3rd because I agree the detail is, when I initially looked at it, it looked like it was pushed or processed too far. But giving it a second eye, I have to agree. It has got a little bit more of a story to it than the color one.
Okay, we're going to keep this going quickly. We're going to have someone that has a strong opinion about this first. And Yeah, this first picture here. Since we
That's
haven't
my
talked about this
second.
one yet.
That's ranked number 2 for me. I think it's another one of those. It's a really nicely done black and white. Well, you know what? Actually, look at it again. It's tipped about 7 degrees to the right hand or to the left hand side. So if it tips it back,
it's pretty tight at the top too. Really.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm reneging on that.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
That's
I think
right.
in this
Back
one, you know,
down.
the difference that I'm seeing between this black and white conversion and the one I was talking about before is that you have a lot of black happening here, not only in the sky but also in the foreground area against the building there, and the sort of square pattern on the sidewalk is really, really black, no detail. If you go and you look at that rotunda shot, that's not happening. It's not happening in the sky. You know, the sky has beautiful detail in it, even, you know, subtle cloud light.
I looked at this one too fast the first time. Yeah, I agree. All your points are very valid. The other one, plus I think them using the center column to vertically align the image, there's something tipped, and I keep falling off the left side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you to lock that in. I know you have other thoughts, but we're going to keep on moving, and I'm going to check YouTube to see if there's any. Jim. Oh, Jim, you're on here. Hey.
Yeah, I'm there.
You're on the YouTube.
I've got to sway. I've got to sway the crowd.
Got to sway the crowd. Nice.
You go.
Yeah, you can totally let them know which ones you're going for. Hey, Scott. You're gonna like this one. And Jim. We've got some people. And last year we did models for people. This year we didn't do models. We allowed them to photograph their own team members or members of the Photodeca staff, which this one was a Photodeca staff. The rest were their own team members. So we'll go through them. And I verified, I know that these are all actually their team members or staff. So.
Oh man.
Well, there's an easy number 1 here for me.
Okay.
And that's the guy with the gun. That is by far and away the best image here for me.
Yep.
It is
Agreed.
well lit. It has a sense of presence. It's something. Whoever the person is in this photo, I bet they end up buying a printed this. It is a beautiful image.
Well, it's their own teammate, so.
Well, I mean, regardless, though, I mean, if I shot a picture of you and you loved it, when you came here to Wisconsin, and I got a picture of you leaping in front of that church, if you're like, hey, I really like that picture, you would have bought. This is a really great picture. Wonderful light control, and there aren't a lot of pictures here that demonstrate light control, and portraiture light control is a lot of it, So I absolutely love this picture. Great emotion, great light.
I agree with you
compare it, though, for a
Scott.
second.
And you know what? I want to say something about what we were talking about in the last collection of images. You know, I said something about how there was a lot of black and it was too dark and there were no details, but this is where that works, right? All that black, there's no detail in it. It works here and it's beautiful.
Yeah, this is perfect. To me, this is head and shoulders above anything else in here, even though there's some great shots.
Okay, second place. I think we're all kind of, and if you aren't in consensus, you're overruled. So
I think second place for me is the one at the top. The guy looking at the camera, the interesting pattern of lights behind him. I like the expression on his face. He's got a look in his eye. He's got the catch lights in his eye. He's looking at me. He's looking out at the viewer, and it's a very interesting shot. You kind of want to get in there and pat the guy on the shoulder and say, "Man, I know it was an awful day."
It's it rained all day. We understand.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree. That is my number 2 image as well, and it's mostly because of the light. The light is interesting in the image. It's not just an overcast blah kind of thing. There's something, and there's a story here. What's he thinking? Where is he? What was going on? And yeah, I love it. You crawl inside the guy's mind, and it makes you ponder things. And that's I think that's kind of a theme with me across all images. Is what's the story? And I love this one.
All right, let's keep on going. I want to go down the list and get someone's thought, Jim, Ben, or whoever has a strong thought on this picture, and we'll just go down to the next 3, giving a thought for each. This could be our fastest category yet. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're finally getting some consensus here. This is great. Well, my thought on the one of the woman reading the book is it's cool. I like the, how she's positioned and stuff. I feel like the lighting just doesn't add any mood to the photo. It's kind of only a subject and no mood, and I felt like that kind of held it back. There just isn't a feeling to this.
Okay, we're going to the next one. Someone else wants to take over this one.
That's the one.
Person crouching. Sorry.
That's the one I have as number 2. I love that picture.
Seriously?
Nope. Yeah.
Oh,
really?
good. Let's hear it, Belle. Let's hear it.
Yeah, tell us.
Like again, it's the light playing in the background. Am I the only one here? So I love the light playing, and he's looking at the camera.
Yeah, but he's like, somebody stole my lunch, or is
yeah, I like the light. The light here to me is what was I talking about before? What do you think I was talking about before? I love this picture. It's number 2. It's the number 2 image for me. Yeah.
Yeah, this one isn't so strong for me. There are a lot of details in the background that are distracting. I mean, the fact that I can read the words maximum occupancy 45 kind of it takes away from it. There's a plaque and the little stickers on the windows. All that is very distracting to me. I want a much shallower depth of field. The light on his face is nice, except for that shadow on his chin there. It's distracting to me. I want to put that shoulder down, put his head up a little bit, turn a little bit, whatever it is to get the light on his face evened out. And more than that, I want the focus spot on his eyes, and it's not. It's behind them. It's sort of by his ear. So this one doesn't have the strength that some of the the other 2 we talked about.
What's the other one that you have as number 2? Because I thought we were talking about this image. Is there?
I think we're talking about the black and white of the guy in the hat, not with the gun though.
Oh, okay. All right. See, I didn't like this one because it felt like it was blurry to me. Like the guy's face is just not in focus.
Which one are we talking about?
The guy with the hat, the black and white. Yeah, that one. Okay. I didn't care for that image as much. It could
be sharper. I agree.
Yeah, and that immediately kind of put it back for me. So you have one thing to hit. You have to focus on the eyes, and it was missed. It's like this is just kind of a blurry photo.
Yeah, but look at the detail on that shoulder. It's fantastic.
You know what? And the brim of that hat. It's where the guy is squatting down. There's a story to be here, but yeah, you're right. Those stickers and all that stuff should have been taken out of the windows. There's no reason that should have been left in place.
You think that one's got a story and not the guy with the hat on the wall?
Yeah, I don't like the one with the guy in the hat at all.
Yeah,
It's just,
wait. Use the word story.
Fight.
Like you really feel there's a story in this one and not in the guy against the wall.
The guy against the wall, the guy who's just like standing there and somebody took his picture and it was kind of blurry. That one?
And he doesn't look like he's just crouching there.
No,
like, kid, smile over here.
He's just looking over like, huh? The guy who's sitting down to me, he's been sitting there. He's been working on this thing all day long. Oh, this looks like morning light to me. So he had to get up way too damn early. He's sitting there going, "Can we be done here yet? Can we just go?" And it's actually the morning light here, the light for me that sells the guy in the blue coat. It's all it is. It's the light.
Okay, so it's not the story.
No, well, I'm trying to imagine the story, right?
Okay, but if you were to replace the person here, the person with the camera, and you were to just put a fire hydrant there, it'd be the same photo.
You know what?
It wouldn't matter.
And it would still probably, I'd still probably like it, but it'd be in the wrong category.
The point is that it says nothing at all about the person. It could be a trash can there and anything.
That's true.
We have filtered light, but it just doesn't mean anything in my opinion, at least.
Okay,
and I think it's interesting to me that the focus on the other one doesn't bother you. I mean, bothers you, but the focus on this shot, isn't an issue for you because this is out of focus too. There is something sharp, but it's not his eyes.
On my screen, it looks sharp.
Okay.
Like I see him just fine. Like it's obviously he's in focus and not the brick wall behind him. Where the black and white I think is such a close up that I'm noting that it's blurry, and it doesn't look like it's lacks of focus. It looks like it's more of a motion blur.
To me, it looks like a sort of an added effect more than anything. I mean,
that might be.
I don't know. The ribbon on his hat looks pretty sharp to me. I can see a really clean catch light in his eye.
They're looking at this final picture.
I'm sorry.
The final picture to me doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of like anybody could have taken that picture. It doesn't really push any buttons for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No interesting lighting or anything like that.
We'll get around
Done.
to more people pictures in advance.
I love the conversation on that one. That was really great.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was
We
a
gotta
good
keep it going.
That was
But
that
it
was
was fun.
that was a tough one for me though, trying to decide where to put them. The three. I found the number 1 and 2 easy. 3, 4, and 5 kept moving them around.
Oh, this next one is a really good one too.
All right, so we are at product photography, and we had 3 products. We had 2 products that are featured here in the top 5. One is a service called VidAngel. You may have heard of it. It is where you watch
Awesome.
movies, and you can actually, on your own accord, like the company doesn't filter it for you, but you could choose to not, like have the F word in a movie. So these kids could watch it. So that's part of their shtick, is family friendly. And I guess one of the things is for $1 bleeping dollar, because it also just costs $1. Anyways, so they allowed us to do that, and they're giving away a bunch of prizes, like years of free movies. And so we just kind of told them, take a picture that works for them. And then another company gave us a lot of bottles of real salt. Redmond Company gave us real salt. And as you can see, it was popular. 3 of the pictures are from that. And they got creative with how to take pictures of a bottle of salt. So product photography, go intermediate team. Getting some good pictures here.
Well, I
Just
think
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, let's have Varina go.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I was going to say, I think that my favorite from this collection, my number 1 at this point, is the 3 little boys.
Agreed. In the tent.
I agree.
Really subtle
Everyone?
colors,
What's
just
up?
a beautiful shot. They're all very much focused on the screen. And what I find is that, I'm sort of comparing this one to the other photo with the 4 children looking at the screen. And I feel like the expressions on these 3 little boys' faces are very natural. They're engaged in what they're doing. I feel like the expressions on the faces of the 4 children are sort of false. I feel like the photographer is looking at them and saying, smile, look happy, or look like you're really loving what you're doing, and
I'll give you double candy.
Yeah, exactly. So they're watching whatever it is on the screen, but they're also sort of throwing these smiles on that feel false.
Well, yeah. This picture to me is by far and away the number 1. And compared to the other one, the tent depth of field right here is the big differentiator for me. The other one, everything in that room is, tack sharp. This one is, you can't not focus on those 3 boys, and the expressions are priceless. The other one is suffering from a very small sensor or a really high f-stop. So it's either a camera phone shot or some, I have no idea, it's a high ISO shot, but it's not looking for that focus from depth of field. Plus, I agree, the expressions are just not there. I also don't, the Apple product on the laptop or the MacBook, or I'm not an Apple guy, can you tell? The Linux-based Mac product has the Apple kind of sideways, and it feels like it's just kind of, the other one, it's just so well done. It is an amazing, it's probably one of the best images I've seen so far today. It is a really well done image.
And from like a Pinterest point of view, like, the cloth tent and the lantern details and the quilted blanket, like that's product design. I mean, a stylist would normally come in and put those details. So for a team in a 2-day rush, get these things done, to craft that is incredible.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, salt picture. I want to hear what your favorite real salt picture is.
I like the one with the leaf next to it. Is really kind of cool. I just think it's kind of an interesting picture. But it doesn't really talk what is the product, but neither does the one that says real salt spelled on it either, which is actually really well done too. I would have liked kind of like picture the bottle in there somewhere, but if you're just going to go with one that doesn't have a picture of the product, the actual product bottle, this one is really kind of cool. It's very themey. It feels like fall to me, but I'm torn. I could be pushed either way on this one.
Someone
I actually
push
agree
them.
with you. I love that photo. I want to do one thing so badly. I want to take the camera, tilt it just a little so that line on the picnic table or whatever it is aligned perfectly with the spoon. I want those straight up and down. Apparently, I have a little, you know, a little.
Varina, I hadn't
issue
seen
there,
that, and now I can't unsee it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, by the way.
Okay, well, at least
You're
it's not.
so
just,
right.
At least it's not just me. I was thinking maybe I had a little, you know, kink in the head. So.
No.
Jim, what is your favorite real salt picture?
Yeah, it's
salt
the one of
picture?
the spoon. I really like the photo of the spoon. I think it just has a great texture and feeling to it. The sharpness is missing a little bit over where the salt is. The focus is not quite perfect, which is easy to do in a macro photo where your depth of field gets super shallow. But I think it's beautiful overall.
Okay. All right, we're gonna keep on going. That was a fun one. It's easy when you have a really good consensus. So lock in your. I think we know kind of what probably will end up being the first place picture,
Safe bet.
and then we will move on over to street photography.
My least favorite category.
Who said that?
Me, Scott Detweiler. Traditionally, I've never been a person to appreciate street photography unless it was like an amazing leap off the. Wow, what a great picture! So this is gonna be a brutal one. I haven't seen these yet, so I'm gonna look
So
through them
Scott
up.
won't talk this whole time.
Pretty much. Or if I have an opinion, it'll be a brutal one.
Who here does? Yeah. So you know, night. That's kind of your field, Ben.
Oh, the night images. Actually, I'm looking at this leaf on the brick pattern. That's the one that feels kind of unique and some really solid moment. Or they were carrying a red leaf around and look for somewhere to put it.
It's the picture's a little crooked though, which is the thing. That,
Yeah, the horizon's
It is.
tilted to the bottom left.
To me, that one just
gotta
felt.
say, it's a
I'm
fake
sorry.
leaf.
Go ahead, Varina.
It's a fake leaf. It really, it's not a real leaf.
Yeah,
you
I
can
see
see
it.
the string or something. Or it's like it does look like a
Yeah.
fake leaf, right?
Oh, it's definitely a fake leaf. So yeah, I mean that to me, it hurts it a lot.
Yeah, to me, it just feels a little bit cheesy, I guess, to me, the composition here.
So Jim,
where
which one do you have then?
I guess my favorite would probably be this one, just the matte look, the matte black and white of the street here. I really wish there was a little bit more of a clear subject going on here, but I really like the post-processing of this one. I think it just fits the city well. The one of the reflection of the temple here in the sidewalk is super cool. It's definitely a little bit too vibrant for my personal taste, but I really like that one. And then this one of the Main Street pizza and noodle. There is an awesome shot in here, and it's a tighter composition, I feel like. I think if you cropped in so the sign was at the top right, and we just had this red light reflecting more on everything and less black up at the top, I think that would have been cool. So that's kind of my take on all of them.
Hey,
I feel the same way about
Varina,
that.
Can
Yeah.
you go through your like little list like that? Give your thoughts on some of those. That was kind of fun. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, okay. I'll start at the top then. I was gonna say that the photo with the reflection on the sidewalk, I absolutely love it. And yes, I generally think that I mean I've said it more than once just this evening that those intense colors are not appealing to me, but this is my number one. I like that reflection. I think it's cool. It's really different. I would tone it down a little, but there's that.
So where are you going for number two?
I'm probably going with the Main Street pizza and noodle for number two.
Okay.
And my reason for that is, and actually I should say my composition for that is exactly, who was that who was just talking?
That was Jim.
Jim. It's exactly what Jim was saying. I want those white lights out of the photo. They're distracting to me. I love the glow of the red on the, on everything else that's going there. I think number three is going to be the gallery open shot. I don't think it's really strong. I wish there was somebody in the foreground, something more going on. Too many words cut off. But that one is fighting for third place with my historic trolley car bus thing. Which I like because of the interesting lights in the background, but I wish it were, I want a little less depth of field and I want to get rid of the tilt that's happening there. And then, the leaf on the pavement is my solid number 5. It got my attention first, which means there is something here. You know, but again, it's tilted. The fake leaf just hurts the image too much. It feels like fake Main Street, you know? Even the bricks are painted. They're not even real.
No.
So maybe that's the statement.
no.
Maybe that's the theme.
Right, maybe that's what this whole photo's about.
Provo is fake.
Our life is just a simulation.
Right. None of it's real.
It's all synthetic.
Well, my order is a little different. I can run down those unless
Really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to try to go to the
Alright.
next one.
I like the tone of the black and white. I agree. There's no real focus other than the gallery's open, which I'm pretty sure is true. So that's my number one, only because it's the only street photo. I'm going to go with that. I like the reflection on the sidewalk. It's a bit vibrant, especially the greenery at the top and the bottom is killing me. But in the middle, I like the reflection in the sidewalk. It's pretty decent. The trolley car would be next, albeit it needs a bit of a tilt. It's pushing, it's lower to the right. It needs to be tilted backward a bit. That bothers me. I agree with the light and the Main Street noodle. That crop, it could have been an amazing picture. A little bit of crop would have been great. And the bottom one, yeah, same thing. Caught my attention right away with the leaf. Someone once told me, and I love this statement, is greet a viewer of their image from across the room so they walk across to look at it and then give them a reward for doing so. In this case, I love the image from a distance. I walk up to it and then you smack me because I realize this isn't real. So this went to my bottom.
And just to answer some questions online, yes, this is all intermediate. They asked that. Advanced will be next. You already answered that, Scott. Yeah. And I just kind of missed it. Like I just saw all these comments all of a sudden. Okay, cool. Does anyone else have any thoughts? I'm just going through
Let me just throw in, like, this is
best.
Provo and Park City. Like, this isn't Brooklyn or LA. So props to the photographers. Difficult subject to find subjects to shoot.
All right, we are going to the next one, which is waterscape. So what we did, in each of the different places that we'll do this event, we'll focus a little heavier on what they're known for. So when we go to the Bay Area, like San Francisco, Santa Cruz, we'll probably have a food category, you know, or we'll have a sports category and focus on surfing in the Santa Cruz area. When you come to Utah, we do a little bit more landscape. So we divided landscape and we made a waterscape kind of category. And if we're next to the ocean, we'll probably do seascape, that sort of thing. So it just had to have water in it, basically. Obviously, that's kind of the concept. And I will run through these real fast. You guys, I want to try that again where we kind of run down. We'll have a couple of people that do a little bit more landscape, run down through their list, at least top 3 or something like that, or whatever they want to comment on.
I've got a top 2, so you guys have to help me out because I can't figure out which one should be number 1. How about that? So I've got, right away when I look at the thumbnails on the left, the one that stands out to me is the little ball with the inverted landscape in it. Stands out to me. I think it's neat, you know, grabs my attention. The other one that gets my attention once I zoom in is the third shot, the one in the middle, because of the light on those mountains. I'd probably go with a pano crop for this shot, but I really like the light and the colors that are happening there. So what are your opinions on that? What do you guys think?
I guess I was similar to you, Varina. I really like this one of the light hitting the mountains here, but you know, a full 60% of this photo is not helping it. If we had just cropped this as a panorama, it'd be, I believe, a much stronger photo. The one of the little glass orb here, I think is cool, but until I viewed it large, it looked like it was a water drop floating in the air or something. I had lost the little snow that it was sitting on. So maybe just a little brighter exposure or a little bit more crispness in the snow here, just so we can tell for sure what's happening. And I think that's a tip that you can apply in a lot of different places. Whenever you're shooting a subject that's a little bit, tricky, complicated, a little bit strange that people might not know what they're looking at, just be sure you do whatever you can to make sure it's clear what people are seeing before you work into any other elements in the photo.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
Yeah, I
Ben,
was torn. I was torn in the exact same. I was torn in the exact same two that you are. But I've given the mountainscape #1. And I think the way, I don't know if a pano crop here would help it as much as maybe just getting rid of some of the right side and allowing. So I like this valley that's occurring over on the left side that we're kind of losing, like where the mountains end. But I love the light on the right side. So maybe a pano crop is the best here. But the little magical spherical ball, I thought was really terribly interesting. It is an underexposed photo. Which taking pictures of snow is tough. Your camera wants 18% gray, and you've got to add that EV in order to get it right there. But I think it's really interesting. But it's not better than that other photo, the pano. That it's just a great picture.
Okay, we're gonna go
I
over
think
to
you're
the
right.
boat
It's a little
one.
bit dreary.
What do we think about the boat one?
It's great. It's a great image. It's a great. It has a nice warm feeling to it. It's entertaining. It's a beer commercial waiting to happen. It's a solid 3 for me. I put it right in the middle.
Okay.
I'm just catching up. My Wi-Fi dropped out here, so sorry, guys.
All right, Ben. We're on Waterscape, and if you have a couple thoughts on these, that's where we'll end off. Especially if you have thoughts on the two we haven't talked about with the black and white boats and what looks like an aerial shot of a lake down below.
Yeah, I'll jump on the aerial one. Props for bringing the drone out. Again, this is a competition. They have a short amount of time. They're deciding on how to spend it. And so to take the time to launch the drone and find this spot, it's a pretty moment. It's a neat landscape. They put the lake down in there. There's trails. It's a pretty decent aerial shot. I got to give them some credit for the competition aspect of this.
Is this better than the guys in the canoe?
No. No.
Why? What makes you? What makes you say?
I liked it.
That?
I liked that. No.
Yeah. What draws you one way or the other?
Well, you asked me to comment on one of the ones not commented, so I am catching up here with the Wi-Fi catching up. The canoe is, the canoe shot, like, you stay around for like a week hoping to get this moment. And again, going back to 2 days and to jump on this, to be at the right spot at the right time. There's that last little glint of sunlight. I love it. The guys are crisp. That's beautiful. That's going up to #1 for me. And then #2 is that middle reflection one. And I like the space of it. I almost would have gotten really weird and gone 50% on the horizon and completely split it down the middle. They kind of got like a 2/3 vertical weight to it. But I like the empty space in the top and bottom. Those are my top 2 favorites, hand down.
Okay. Awesome, then. I think we got everyone's perspective on these waters scapes. I had someone say that they really loved the waterscapes and that they're like, put these guys in the advanced division. So we're going to find it interesting when we get to the advanced division to see what they're actually coming up with. They had some different locations to shoot, so figure it out. This next division is very different. Some of these were subjects that they had to photograph, like particular subjects. Some of them were, we put them in areas and said go wild. And this is, we just said, here's a theme, here's a word. Here are 3 words, and you come up with what you want. And the 3 words for them, well, we had one was Pokemon. It's definitely a thing these days. Another is the word compete. If you don't know, Photography Decathlon, our 3 words are explore, create, and compete. So we gave them compete, and we gave them create, and then Pokemon. So we've got a couple competes here, and we got 3 competes, a Pokemon, yeah, and create. Yeah,
create.
Too creative.
I love the picture with the kid with the phone and whatever the hell that is coming right over his shoulder, completely oblivious to oncoming traffic or demon goat, whatever it is.
That's a Rattata, I think. That's a.
You know what? It's gonna whatever it is. He's completely oblivious to it coming at him. So that's Pokemon right there, because kids walking in traffic. I love the picture. It's one of those like, could you pose that any better? Capture. So I like this one quite a bit. I think it's really unique of all the ones that are in here. This one's really interesting to me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think
All
that
right.
one's unique. I love this football shot in the snow. If I had to put one of these in my portfolio, it'd probably be this one. I love, a snow football game is so cool. I wouldn't mind as a sports photographer this being quite a bit tighter in on the action. But I really like that it, captures the crowd in the background and just that feeling of a cold Friday night football game. This one of the iPhone I think is cool. This has been shot like 1 million times now, showing the screen and then in the background. But it's well done. I think the post-processing is cool, kind of very muted, cold colors. But the one most likely to make mom cry at the kids' wedding reception is this one of the kids playing football all together. Like, from a photography standpoint, whatever, it's not perfect. There's not much separation between the kids and the background. It's probably a little bit too vibrant. But, like, that's the moment, like little kids playing football. I just think it's a cool moment that was captured.
I think for that one, you're kind of losing there. Who are we focusing on? Nobody's really making eye contact with. I mean, they're not even making eye contact with each other, which it makes it just feel kind of messy. Even the shot of the football players, that one is more appealing to me because, we've got the ball. We all know that that's where your eye is supposed to go. It's got to go to the ball. Yeah, there are some other things happening. There's a whole lot happening, but that one is a stronger image to me.
Yeah, I put the kid one last. I didn't really. I think it's interesting, but it looks almost like they were told to kind of like goof around for a while. I can't really figure out what's going on. Like,
Okay, what about the Beatles one? The piano.
yeah, it fits a still life category, but even if it is, it's not like lit well. It's kind of like just you had a light on in a room and you threw a vignette on it.
I think the Gatorade bottle on top of it is really distracting to me. There's so much going on here. There's like, there are paints. And
I'm pretty sure that's Powerade.
Yeah, Powerade was a big part of the Beatles' life, though, so I could see why that would be there.
True. No, I think there are too many themes happening here. There's there's paint, there's a mask, all kinds of things happening, and it's just I can't quite figure out what's going on.
I'm going to throw that one down actually to my bottom image, and the reason I'm going to do this because of this forced vignette that I see people throw on images all the time is if to rescue an image by causing a focus. It's a white piano. You do not need to add a vignette to cause my eye to go to the word the Beatles. It's going to happen, but where does it go after that? That's kind of just it doesn't have anywhere to go. There's no you're right. There's no theme.
When someone's watching this and they're saying, "Oh, it's going to go to the bottom. That's terrible," they should know it made it to stage 3.
Right.
It's still getting a lot of points.
Right. Of these images, it's the weakest of the 5 to me.
Are the weak link.
To me.
I gotta say too, in terms of weaknesses, the photo you guys were talking about first with the little boy looking at the phone playing Pokemon, and that bizarre creature over his shoulder, whatever it is.
Someone
actually, that photo is bugging me more and more. At first, I really like it. I actually think it's a great photo.
Which one?
The one. I'm sorry, the one with the kid looking at his phone.
5.
Yeah, and the chupacabra over the top of his head.
Yeah, that one. I find that creature behind him to be incredibly distracting. It's taking me away from what's happening in the photo.
And I actually kind of like that, though. It's like you're
you?
fearing for him. You're like, you have anxiety. Dude, you're playing Pokemon. Don't you see what the hell's coming at you?
It just keeps grabbing my eye behind him. Instead of this.
It is so evil looking. I don't know.
It is really horrible. Maybe that's supposed to be the Pokemon. I don't know, but it is.
I want to. Someone gave a comment on they put a comment out there and they said people were attending a football game while doing a competition. Just take that in for a moment. Godlike. That's funny. All right, we are going to move on.
I want to jump
in. Okay, go ahead.
I come from a family with 3 brothers, so 4 boys, and like this literally could be our family photo. You know, the thought is like, is color helping? Is it telling part of the story? And the color super distracting in this? And the way it's composed or cropped is that we're looking at the guy with his eyes closed. I think they crushed in on it and took the center weight off the kid with the eyes closed. You just be caught up in the chaos of the moment, and it's definitely scripted. I mean, you know, they poured Red Bull in their juice and just told them to go play and took photos. Who knows what happened here? But if you get in on the chaos and make that the image, tone down the colors, and let the viewer get lost in the facial expressions, the craziness of the body postures, like there's a lot of fun stuff going on here. But we don't need this wide vertical, and we don't need the colors. So I think there's a lot of potential in this image.
Yeah, let's soften up the background and, you know, get rid of the detail in the background.
Yeah.
Someone else said,
that's a fun one.
All I want is one of my pictures. Parker said, all I want my picture is to make the top 5 so they can rip it apart. He's being serious too. He's like, this is fun.
Well, here's a tip. If you have a kit lens and you don't have something that can open up to a 2.8 or a 1.4 or 1.8, and you need to kind of lose the background, you can back up and throw it as far as you can. Like you can get a 100. Some of these things have a 180 millimeter lens out of them. At least the perspective compression will help blur the background a bit. So even with the kit lens, this picture could have been cropped differently, as he was saying, so the composition, the background would be lost more, and you'd be able to see or focus on the energy of the children. And the pushing of the colors in so many of these images is just killing what would normally be a much better image without it.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, lock it in. We are moving on. We are our last one before we head into advanced category. And we've got it. We're rolling. I think we got this down.
Yeah, we're rolling. By 2 a.m. we should have this nailed.
No. 1 more hour. That's the goal. Okay.
All right, we're in photojournalism.
We've done just over an hour, so 1 more hour. We started a little bit late. So
you guys got a repeat in this one also, right?
Yes. Yeah, so what happened here? It technically did not break our rules because we didn't have a rule about repeating. Next time around, we probably should put a rule in there. I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. So our themes were they could photograph. There's a couple events that they could have photographed, but it looks like a lot of them were photographing the event called the Photography Decathlon. Yep, all 5 of them were photographing the Photography Decathlon. So as we know, it's this really cool event where you go out and take pictures for 2 days, and there's a bunch of photographers doing cool stuff and going cool places. You know, look into it. Photodeca.com. Just joking. Not really.
That was well done. Well, what nicely done placement ad there. Yeah. I let me throw my two favorites and see if anybody differs with me.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the guy going up the wall with the lens. Got some nice bokeh in the background. It's good. I like it, and I like the girl who's all bundled up with the picture. Although I think the crop is a bit too much headroom in it. But I love the fact that you can tell she's really cold, and the rest of the frame is screaming she's cold. So these are my 2 favorite shots, and I'm torn as to which one is the first one.
I'm torn between those 2 as well.
Throw in here a comment from the gallery. Some of the people that competed were just mentioning that they went to one of the festivals and were like, it was terrible. So that's funny. Sad, but funny. Go ahead, Varina.
No, I was just going to say I agree. I'm sort of going back and forth between those 2 as well. My first instinct was to snag the photo of the girl with the white hood and the white trees behind. Because you know what, I tend to go with minimalism. The simplicity of it is really strong to me. But on the other hand, I really like the unusual. I don't know, the way this guy's standing as he's pointing his camera upwards. towards the the bricks at the top of the building, whatever he's doing, it's interesting. There's a little more interest happening here. The focus is not on his face, it's on the brick closer to us, which I find a little distracting, but I don't know. I'm struggling with those two as well.
It's also not vertical. It needs a little bit of a shift.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a theme through a lot of these. Not that you have to have the horizontal and the vertical in every image perfect. I know Lightroom has added some new capability for that, or Adobe Camera Raw, but at least having if you have a strong alignment, make sure that it is a horizontal or a vertical. We've seen a lot of images that push us as judges one way or the other simply because that's a little bit off. It's not like a Dutch angle, but it's just enough to irritate you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to some of the other pictures. How about the one with the guy in the road with the camera?
Beautiful colors, beautiful colors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else thought on this one?
Again, it feels like a photo of they're taking one of the pictures of the guy on the team. Yeah, like nice colors there, but I don't feel anything from this.
Yeah, it doesn't have the impact that some of the others do. I think that it feels more like a snapshot than a fine art image.
Okay. And you believe that it needs to be a fine art for photojournalism?
No, I guess not, actually. Maybe fine art's the wrong word. It doesn't feel like art. It feels like a snapshot.
Okay. And then we got the one at the top here.
I like a lot of this image.
Mm-hmm.
I wish the water bottle wasn't there. There's a lot of little things. I like the fact that they took time to light it. Is a big deal to me. That matters. And I like the cityscape, the clouds. They didn't vignette it. They didn't, well, too much anyway. They didn't push or pull the color too much. It's not my favorite image, but it is really well done.
Yeah, the exposures balanced. They didn't block the city light, put them on the more muted forested city spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the sky and the foreground all balanced together. That's tough to do with strobe photography. It's nice.
All right, and now we go to this one, which we've seen before. I'm not saying that this was a duplicate. Maybe the other one was the duplicate.
I like this picture. It's nicely done. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I've just seen it a few too many times now. I'm starting to get jaded to it.
It's one of my favorites. I liked it in both categories. I'm just drawn to it. It's so symmetrical. The colors are just really nice. I want to put text on it and throw it in a magazine and be super stoked with it.
It's nice. It's a great image.
Yeah.
I don't know what category it fits into, though. I mean, it's like it fits in everything so far, which is why we keep seeing it.
iPhones.
It could have been people, right? Picture of your teammate.
Yeah, it's portraiture. It's street photography. It's a great picture.
Cityscape.
Mm.
All right, lock it in, and then we'll have a discussion. Well, while you're locking it in, this is our last one. What do you think about intermediate photographers that we described as being hobbyists, that no pro photographers that made a substantial over 25% of their income were allowed in this category? It doesn't mean that you could be an intermediate photographer and play in advanced because you had teammates that couldn't play lower, right? And you wanted to be in there and you wanted the glory and you wanted a little bit higher competition. But it could have been an intro people playing here in intermediate as well. So what were your thoughts on this? Ben, we know you've mentioned a few times how they had 2 days.
Yeah, I've been impressed. I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is to make something happen with whatever you're given, and that's what you have to show. We're also used to showing our best work. And it's a pretty strong showing for an intermediate group to have 2 days and multiple locations and 10 categories. So I've been really impressed with what we've seen.
Yeah, I agree. And it does, you sit here and we are kind of tearing these images apart, but keep in mind that, there are a lot of strengths that we're seeing here. These are some great images. Mm-hmm. Really nice stuff.
Yeah, I wish I would have this level of feedback when I was at this level. I mean, There's so many things in here. Well, I mean, even some of the landscape stuff, which I don't shoot, I'm like, wow, I really like this image. And I don't have the background to say technically what is right or wrong about it, but I can certainly, from an artistic standpoint, say, I really like this picture. So I think there's a lot of really great pictures. I can't really wait to see what's in advanced because these are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope you're not disappointed, right?
Yeah, if there is, you'll hear me whining.
Yeah.
We'll let you know if we are.
Okay. If you need to go grab a glass of water or something like that, let me know. Otherwise, we'll jump into advanced. All right. I'll take the silence.
Can I show you something really fun? Let me see if I can grab them.
Okay.
1 second. Look at this.
Just so
There's
you
no
know,
name for her yet, but it's a foster kitten I just got today.
Aww.
She's scamper around, so that's why I keep looking off camera if you notice. So if you guys have any recommended names for her, that we really appreciate it. She doesn't have a name yet. That's all I got.
Albion.
Random distraction.
Just joking.
I have a cat here named Truffles, so that one's taken. Can't use that one.
No truffles.
Deca.
All right, Dunskies.
That
was my nine.
Scott, I believe, have you been typing some? You may want to move your microphone a little bit further away from the keyboard.
No, I'm actually muting my mic.
Oh, are you? Okay. Is either Scott or Jim? I don't know.
I wasn't typing. Don't blame it on me.
Okay. No, I won't. Sorry. Okay. We're gonna go in advanced order. We're gonna go in reverse order in advanced category, and we're gonna start with architecture and end with landscape. How about that? Oh, that's how we did it last time. So it is reversed.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. I didn't know how that displays. So we're gonna start. I don't know why they're displaying in this order. So we'll just start with architecture. Whatever. It is a different kind of order. So we're going to start with architecture. We're looking at the advanced category. If anyone watching wants to share with people, maybe the advanced people say they are about to begin the judging of the advanced category. You've got the link because you're watching it right now. Go ahead and share it out there. It will be online for viewing, for future viewing, of course. So I believe, I hope, these go to YouTube, right? They better. You guys are watching on YouTube.
It will.
They're watching on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they're watching live now, and then later you'll be able to repost it.
All right. Some of the subjects were the Logan LDS Temple, the Salt Lake Public Library, the Radha Krishna Temple in Spanish Fork, the Utah State Capitol, of course, and there was a couple from that. So, who wants to start us off with their little rundown of what they're thinking? Do we have a consensus? Do we have one that everyone loves for first place?
My favorite was the public library, this geometric shape looking up toward the ceiling. I think it was super cool. I just like all the shapes, the black and white processing. I think it's perfect.
All right.
I put that one down at number 4.
Oh,
okay. It's not my favorite. I think the processing is a bit heavy-handed. It doesn't have the really smooth tonal shifts that I like to see in black and white. I actually, for number 1 or 2, I think number 1 at this point is the Utah State Capitol, the bottom shot with the, you got all these curves and circles and all these lines that are kind of pulling you in through the image towards the ceiling, which is neat. And the details in that shot, the details are absolutely gorgeous, spot on, perfectly sharp.
I love that she says this is a 1-ish because she's willing for you guys to jump in there and tell you, sway her.
Yeah, and mine is neither of those. Mine is the LDS Temple shot with the forest in the foreground.
Yeah, the Logan Temple. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that. I mean, wonderful compositional elements. So it's not centered; it's pushed to the side. I can see a lot of what's going on into the distance. It's not too heavy-handed with the color. So to me, compositionally, we're not dealing with a vignette. We're not dealing with a vertical alignment issue or horizontal alignment. I mean, it's everything to me in this image is spot on. I really like it.
I think it's a little underexposed.
I agree.
Ben, do you have a new one?
So I love it. We all got different ones. The Radha Krishna Temple is my favorite. I feel like also and we're just on another continent. I mean, like, this thing is straight out of the clouds. Like, what in the how?
It is
this
amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It's an amazing
It's
picture,
otherworldly.
but
That's
I
my number
really want
They're
that
the
front
horizon.
line.
Yeah,
That
so
front
I
line to
look
be
at the verticals, and I think the verticals are straight.
Yeah.
That leading ledge is slanted, and a little perspective shift would have fixed that. We're in the advanced category, so that should have been taken care of. But it looks like the verticals, it's hard to tell. I have to pull out a ruler to see, but it definitely feels like it's leaning to the right. But this is the one that I can't stop staring at.
I love
Hey,
this
Ben,
picture, but it was
so you
that
know,
horizontal.
I screwed up and had it on Ben for a little while. Sorry about that. Everyone forgive me. They just like invited their friends to come watch, and they were whoops.
And they're looking at my nose as I'm looking close at the picture.
Yeah.
They're like,
sorry,
all we can
guys.
see is the
It's a
face.
scratch and snip image. What the?
So let's go back through these. Scott loved this one, and Jim loved this one here. Varina loved the inside, and they're like, "Yeah, we're back. All right." And then Ben loves the otherworldly in the middle of a farm town in Utah picture.
See, that otherworldly picture, I would agree, would be number one if it just had a little bit more horizontal love. It just feels like it's falling to the right, and the verticals might be spot on. So maybe this is more of a lens issue where it could have been shifted a little bit to kind of help it. Maybe get a little bit higher ground. But I love it's so good. It's so good. But I feel like I'm falling.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think the clouds are pretty severely overexposed in the Krishna temple shot. I love the color, the color contrast between the, well, it's not wheat, it's weeds, but it looks like wheat against the blue mountains and stuff. I think is really beautiful. But to me, that overexposed clouds lost it for me.
See, now I'm torn because I really like the Logan temple, but you're pointing out that the sky is underexposed, and I don't disagree with that, but it could also be the fact that it's going to rain cats and dogs any second. I really don't know and understand what's going on there, but I do like, man, if that horizontal wasn't there, or if that horizontal was there, that Krishna temple is number one in my book. It's so good.
I'm smelling a graduated neutral density in this Logan temple picture.
Yeah,
I think what's happened is they just had a white sky, and they're like, got to do something, and so they just threw a grad filter there. But I think which is fine, I guess, to have some kind of gradation in the sky if it weren't so dark. But even the trees below are dark.
Yeah, they're underexposed. The whole
probably
image.
3/4 of a stop. It could get quite a bit brighter. Maybe a full stop.
I think it's a good call. It's just there's a neutral density in there. It's a bit too low in the holder.
You sticking with it, Scott? Though
I am. I can't get away from the horizontal issues with the Krishna temple.
You're sticking with the Logan one. All right. Is anyone changing their opinion? Sticking.
We're all stubborn as mules.
All right.
I have to say I did shift mine a bit though with the explanation some people gave. I mean, I certainly did twirl mine around a bit there. It got switched.
What about the one at the Capitol, the longer exposure with the fountain in the front?
Well, they fixed the cropping issue we had with this thing originally.
With the other picture,
it was too tight to the top and the bottom, and they fixed it, but it's still way too overprocessed for my liking. It's just too. It's too HDR.
Wait, is this is a different photographer? Just so you know.
Oh wow! Well, you know what? They have a very similar method then, because it feels very much like an HDR image with too dark of a sky.
Yeah.
But the step back helped the image a lot in this case, and we don't have the cranes on the sides have been cloned out, or they're not there, or whatever they were on the street, the lights or whatever. Mm-hmm. I like the picture. But it's the over processing of it that just it gets to me. I really like some of the. I like it a lot, but I think there's images that are stronger than this one. It's very well done.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's a tilt to this one again.
Is there?
Am I just starting to get dizzy? I don't know.
Are you tilting to the right a little bit?
Yeah, it feels like it's tilted to the right to me. Maybe I'm seeing things.
No, I think you might be into something. It wasn't noticeable enough, but now I'm seeing it. All I can see is that.
Sorry.
We'll hang it crooked. No. We'll hang it crooked.
Yeah, just hang it crooked. No.
It'll be fine.
But I feel like the heavy-handedness of the post-processing hurts it. I really do. Yeah. And I feel the same way about that black and white shot.
Ben, yes. Go for it.
On Varina's choice, I love this circular. It's my number 2, and it's the first one we've seen that isn't like straight line composition. I mean, you could say this is 2/3, but it almost has like a Fibonacci sequence curl to it.
Yeah.
And it's the first one we've seen where they've seen the curves and there's like a ballet, there's a dance going on, not hard lines and stuff. So I really appreciate this from what we've seen so far. It stands out to me.
I love that they captured the point where they join in the frame too. If they hadn't captured that, it would have been outside the frame. I would have been annoyed with it. I certainly this is a strong number 3, and number 2 I'm waffling. I really like this image too.
Yeah, for me, what makes this really stand out is that everything is spot on. The focus is spot on. The details are amazing. It is neither overexposed nor underexposed. It's absolutely perfectly exposed. The processing is not overdone. I think technically this is an excellent image, but beyond that, the composition is incredibly appealing as well.
All right, I just shifted a whole bunch of stuff. You sold me. You sold me.
Scott is not stubborn, just so you know.
Yeah, no, you have very well. I mean, everything you mentioned is right on. Yeah.
I think I tend to find myself taking away. I mean, I don't want to say taking away points, but things get shifted if the sky's overexposed, if the sky's underexposed, if the post-processing is heavy, if the colors don't feel right. All those things kind of knock them down, and this, I can't find anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Okay. We know where she stands.
That's where I stand. Take it or leave it.
Stand in the place where... they're loving it, by the way. A lot of the advanced team. The prizes, let me go over that real fast. So let me take off my screen sharing. Oh, it's me. Hey, guys. Photography Decathlon. There you go.
You just need some Photodeca gloves to be wearing when you're pointing to stuff.
I got my shirt. Oh, I have my pants on too. My Photodeca pants.
Oh boy.
And Photodeca undies. Photodeca socks.
Oh, I should put my hoodie on too. Photography Decathlon gives one big grand prize. We allow all of our partners to give stuff. You heard VidAngel is giving away years of VidAngel. The salt company will give salt. No, joking. They will actually. But and the governor's award. You have a drone training company, like a university, where you get a lifetime membership to this university for the best picture of drone shots. So we give our partners a lot of ability to give prizes. Us ourselves, we're not about like prizes. We're allowing our partners to do that, but we have something that we think is really fun, and it's for this advanced division, the highest division. Our cool products are fun, but what we do is we step it up a notch for them, and we're giving them like this gold trophy, like the Oscar, or like the yellow jacket, the master's jacket, the belt for boxing, the cup, the World Cup. Yeah, you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to get a cup because it means something. And so we're trying to establish that sort of thing with our cool gear. So they win the right to wear this. I couldn't even wear it because I've not won the advanced division before. And then we give them a couple of these things, like a hat and our cool shirt. So we just thought that was a fun way to say, hey, look at that person. They're walking down the street. You see them. Maybe they're at Zion National Park and you see them. You're like, I want to go talk to them because obviously they're a good photographer. So just thought I'd put a plug in for that.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. I think we were going to call the award the Jarvie for a second. They win the Jarvie.
Bro, you're wearing the Jarvie.
It's not an Arski. You win the Jarvie.
The Jarvie Award for Excellence. The Jaffe, the Jarvie Award for Excellence.
Is it like a little golden guy with like a really bushy beard?
Yeah, I guess that could work.
That'd be so cool.
We are on into Cityscape. Here we go. We had places, familiar places like Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak.
They're all Ensign Peak.
Ensign Peak and Ensign Peak. They went for the easy one on Cityscape. Some of the other ones were hard. Actually, to tell you the truth, one of the cityscape locations got snowed out. It was a beautiful place. It's supposed to, this is why we do it so early in the fall, because we don't want to miss the colors, but we don't want things to snow out. If we do it a week later, the possibilities go much higher. Obviously, you know, it happened this year, but we can't go too much earlier or there's no fall colors. There were green leaves in some of the passes on the aspens. So if we had done it any earlier, there would have been no fall, which is too bad. In any case, we're at Cityscape. We're going to let Ben go.
Don't start with me. My Wi-Fi is like in and out, so jump with someone else right now.
Well, it's working now, though, so it's a good time.
But he's catching up. He's clicking on
I'm
something.
looking at. You got it.
Okay. Jim, any thoughts on these?
Yeah, my favorite was the tilt shift effect of the Capitol building. I just think it's super creative, and in terms of like the lighting, it's really neat. So, you know, sometimes we get a little bit tired of these of shots that are very technique focused. This, some people might even say, is a gimmick, but this photo by itself is gorgeous. I mean, the lighting could not be more perfect. And then they did something a little bit creative, a little bit different with the tilt shift effect. So that was my favorite here.
You know,
Nice.
my favorite is that shot at the bottom of the double exposure or the reflection, whatever it is, the face against the city. I think it's really unique. It's completely different from anything else we're seeing here.
Yeah, and as the technical judge, I could say, like, it has city. And you can do, you know.
Yeah, I liked it, but I was a little confused by it. Is it a city shot? Is it not a city shot? Is it a reflection? Is it not a reflection? I was trying to like make sense of it. I thought the people with the coming out of the tent and looking out over the city was a great storytelling photo. I liked that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one I put as the top one so far.
That was my number 2. I think it was pretty cool.
And you know what? I can be talked out of that one. I mean, I like it a lot. It's not any details of the city, but I like this. I love the fact that they captured the tent as the framing for the photo. Had they not done
Can I jump in on
this would
that
have been a lot better. Absolutely.
All right, so we're in advance, so I'm gonna critique. I love a good tent at night shot, but man, if you were there, you'd be sitting down, leaning up next to each other, like cuddled up, enjoying the view, not stiffly standing posing. So
That's a good point.
take the extra step, tell the story with their body, and this is not it. I do love that they brought a tent up, and you know, like they shot it at the perfect moment where there's some foreground light, like even down to their feet. And the city's in exposure, and then the sky's not clipped, and then the tent has some glow. Like, technically well done, but take it a step further and tell the narrative with the body stories there also.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
You guys are good at this.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Love me a glowing tent.
You brought that down on my list too for that reason. You're right. They're standing there stiff. What do you guys think of the one or in the middle? It took me a minute to figure out what was going on here, but it's a day to night shot. So on the left it's daytime, on the right it's night.
Oh, I had no idea until you mentioned that.
Yeah, I
That's what's going
suspected
on.
maybe other people weren't seeing that.
Oh.
But
I thought the technique got in the way of the shot for this one, for me personally. It feels like the technique is all that we're seeing, and you know, there's not much composition here. It's just crazy wide. To me, it's just only technique here.
It could have been cool day or night shot, but it's kind of like mediocre of both.
Varina, you pointed this out.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts about it? Do you like it?
I've put it as number 3. I'm waffling on this one. I think that the technique, I think that technically speaking, they've done a good job with it. You know, the daytime is properly exposed, nighttime is properly exposed. There's sort of a pretty smooth transition in between, so it's interesting. I wonder if it would be more appealing at a very, very large size. I'm talking printed large enough to put on a wall, you know what I mean, like mural size, because then you're going to get some more detail and maybe be able to tell more what's happening. So I think the size of the image, and I've zoomed in, you know, on my screen, but I think maybe the size of the image is hurting it rather than helping it.
I wish they went diagonal on it rather than a straight vertical. Because when I first saw it, it was like the symmetry of the streets as that dividing point, and then also the approaching thunderclouds. Like in the small thumbnail, I thought it was just a brighter lit clouds, and then there's a darker landscape. I think if they went diagonal, then we would have seen more separation of those various elements.
Yeah, I was completely confused when I saw it visually. I didn't really understand what I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
It's nicely done, but it technically it's brilliant. But it doesn't, as a standalone single piece, I don't know that I can give that extra points for the effort that went into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the top image, we've seen something like that, but you have to step back and say that was a totally different division.
You know, I'm not going to put, I think my knee-jerk reaction is to hate on this image because I've seen it so many times, or something similar, but it's beautifully well done. And, I mean, from a technical standpoint, it's properly exposed. They have a wonderful composition going on here. I think if I hadn't seen the previous images, I wouldn't be so jaded toward it. So I actually kind of helped give it up. I gave it another point up, simply because it is, on itself, a beautifully done image.
I think there's a lot of noise happening here. There's a lot of noise in the sky.
noticed
A
that
lot of
too.
noise.
But I didn't know if
throughout
that was
the
just me, if that was just my monitor, or if that's actually what's going on.
Yeah, but I think
it's definitely
technically the
noisy.
person's got to hold still enough for their hand to not move in the exposure. So they
Right.
probably crank the ISO for a short exposure.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
All right, we are. You feeling good? You have any questions about this one? Any thoughts from? You want to ask someone else a question? You're still not decided on something.
I'm still waffling on the tent one. I mean, I get the seated position, and I agree that would have made it better. But is it where are you putting this one? Right now, I still love it as my top image. I like the tilt shift one, but this one is still my top. Even though I wish they're holding hands, so they're touching. We get that. Maybe this is their first date.
I had a moment here. Someone asked a question if it was you can overlay a person whenever we want to add something to our image. The rules say, you know, we gave them an area. They had to be in the area to photograph both of these images, and it's fine. And then it had cities. So yes, I just wanted to reconfirm that this was
I read
totally
that question a
technically
little
legal.
bit different. I wonder if he wasn't so much questioning if it was legal, but more just that it was. There's nothing to connect the two. You know, if this was a reflection of a person on a window and then we see the city behind them, there's something to connect the two. But right now it's like random person in fur coat, random city, and there's nothing to put the two together.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, my comment's not positive.
Varina, go ahead.
No, I think that what's appealing to me about this is that you've got this city that is crammed full of people, but you can't see any of them, right? Most of these photos, when you're looking at the city, there aren't any people in them, but there are people everywhere in these cities. They're just not visible. So this, to me, is like, hey, here's, this is a resident of this city. This is somebody who's living there. This is somebody who's looking out over their city through the window. And, it's sort of the city through this person's eyes. And so I feel like there's a story here. There's something interesting going on. I don't know. There's a mood to it that is appealing to me.
I think the opportunity lost is there's a little current trend going where only the person would take on the texture of the city on their skin tones, and then it would just be sky around them. And so you kind of like see the hint of the city on their face and on their silhouette, but then you also see the person in the eyes. It's kind of distracting when the city continues beyond their the body definition.
Yeah, it's like I'm confused. So I originally looked at this as the person is looking at a reflection of the city in a window, but because of their angle, that could not be possible. So now it's like, okay, now it's a thought thing. This person is thinking of that. Sorry, I'm imagining like this kid is like freezing his butt off somewhere, and he's like imagining this warm city somewhere, like, I wish I was there. That's the only thing I can draw from this. I love the idea of what's done here, but the two elements are completely unrelated to me. That's the only reason why I'm not ranking it higher. I love the idea. It's just I don't get the story.
Okay.
Well, I'm keeping it as my top image. Sorry, guys.
No, don't apologize. It's all good. That's
Ben,
why there's a few of us.
You've got a fan over here too. They think you are a boss, just so you know.
Oh, Callie, what's up, man? Thanks,
All right.
Oh, it's someone you knew already. All right, cool. Just check.
Callie. Yeah.
He tipped his hand right there. Shouldn't have said anything.
I shouldn't have said it.
No, that's cool. I just thought maybe they thought your insight was so good. They're like, man, this guy is a boss.
Whenever you keep the screen locked on my face instead of looking at the other photos, I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. No mistake. All right, we're over to street photography.
There are a lot of great pictures in this category, in my opinion.
Definitely.
This is a tough one.
It's frustrating. It's faster for me to look at the thumbnails on the live feed than for the page to load on my side.
Well, glad to help you out here, though. Just joking.
Everyone
So
in
we're gonna go
Portland.
through. They got an area in Ogden, which is an old kind of historic city above Salt Lake. Then you got Salt Lake downtown, which was popular. It's just such a interesting, the strategies that people will put in. Sometimes they'll take the road less traveled, and sometimes they'll go for the easy one and get some good stuff.
I love
Scott,
this.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead,
Yes, go for it.
On your street category, the intermediate, you gave them, what was it, Provo and Park City? How come these guys got the Salt Lake?
They also had Salt Lake on the intermediate.
Okay, all right, never mind. Okay, cool.
I love this shot of the kids.
It was a different area of Salt Lake. It was a different 5 or 6 blocks of Salt Lake. So.
Okay.
So Varina and I have a lot of similar tastes in some of these images, I think.
Varina, tell me what you're saying.
I love this photo of the kid dancing in the rain. There are a lot of people here, but it's very clear who, where your eye belongs. There's another little bit of tilt to the photo. Kind of feel like at this point I should stop even mentioning it, but his feet are kind of close to the bottom of the frame too. A little bit of adjustment here and there, but really, what this photo, to me at least, what this photo is about is that kid, the one kid that draws your eye, and it's okay that there are people all over. That doesn't bother me. I don't feel like I need to say, hey, could everybody move so we can just look at this one kid, because for whatever reason he just stands out. He's the one who's engaging with the rain, or maybe it's snow. Is it rain? I don't know. Anyway, I like that.
Let's use the word precipitation.
Yes. Well, I figure that kid wearing shorts on the right, it's got to be rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only compunction with this one is the problem with the crop at the bottom. There's no wiggle room. Otherwise, I absolutely love this image. Yeah, it is spot on focus. Everything about it is great.
Maybe they're all playing Pokemon too.
There's just no wiggle room at the bottom. It's like,
yeah, it feels like they chose to show the lucky slice instead of the bottom of his shoe.
Yeah, I agree.
Up at the top, and it's like, no, I want to see that. I want to see that stomp of the foot.
Right. I wouldn't mind if they cropped in and got rid of the lucky slice altogether. Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. Yeah, I mean, it's all about how are you going to mount and frame this thing? If you try and mat this thing, now it's awkward. He's going to miss half his shoe, and you kind of got to think ahead as to if someone's going to purchase this photo and put it somewhere, how is it going to be used? And by cropping it so tightly, and it may have been obviously this had to have been a quick draw. I mean, this is not staged. So this person had to panic and take the shot. So now it's a matter of, take another shot in post-production, add the street that's missing. You're going to have to do little post work, knowing you missed it. That use a Brenzinger method type of thing and grab the bottom.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
It's a great picture. Great.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't have take a moment and tilt down Photoshop and stitch it together later. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I've done it too many times. Like, oh crap! Yeah, I gotta fix that later.
Right. But it's not going to take much. Just a little bit more down there, so he's not touching the edge of the frame, and you're golden.
Jim. Bring up another picture. What other picture you want to talk about?
Well, I kind of like this one of the color of the street signs here, the historic 25th Street, this double exposure. I think it's cool. This is definitely one where the technique kind of takes over the whole photo, but overall, I think it's kind of a neat shot.
Looks like a zoom effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure because I can see through something. It's cool, whatever it is. I think it's kind of neat. You know,
They
if I
do
were,
this with fireworks.
yeah,
The zoom blur.
Yeah.
Fireworks explode too, so they kind of like go out anyways. Just so you know.
I'm going to mention the lady with the umbrella. The lady with the umbrella of the subway
That's my vote.
has my top picture. I love that picture.
Yeah,
I like
I
that her
also
umbrella
like-
is the same color as the bus or tram going by.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
great
motion
color.
blur, everything about this picture is spot on. And it might be crooked, but it does not distract from what it is. It is really it's got so much going on inside of it, but great storytelling. It has a mood. It invokes a mood. That to me is
And you've
important.
got the repeating patterns, the repeating lines, these brilliant colors, the pattern on her umbrella that breaks the pattern of the lines. Yeah, it works.
I love the wind blur on her dress.
Hmm.
Like I just feel it blowing by in front of me, standing there too.
Yeah, this was a great eye. The photographer's eye here to see this was really spot on.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's
my
go to
number
the
2.
middle one. Where do we have this one placed?
I love the light, but I'm annoyed with again, this is the horizontal vertical issue. The lines in the pavement are tilting to the left. The vertical is nailed. This would have taken just a little bit of a squeeze. I love the composition. I think the exposure is really kind of cool. The warmth, the rain. I mean, it's a great picture, but I feel like it's falling to the side. I did not rank this one low though. I mean, I really like it, but it would have been a much nicer image had we fixed both the horizontal and the vertical because they're close to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This one's my number 2, and I would have changed the white balance. Oh, I think in the sky. Like I like the warmth in the buildings, but the sky just feels light polluted, kind of just like smoky and kind of smoggy. Like I want to feel a bluish light somewhere, some clean white somewhere.
See, I didn't mind the smokiness of it. It kind of added to it's this downtown, so it is kind of almost claustrophobic or heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't mind the heaviness of it, but I do mind the color tone, the color
Yep.
choice of the sky. I agree with Ben on that.
All right, and then we have what we have here.
It's a great storytelling image. I mean, it is to me a great city life capture. I mean, it's you can't stage this, right? I think it's really well done. But the other images are just more interesting to me.
I need something to
you're a
offset.
man.
It's like it's so in your face.
Well, I don't mind that.
All right.
Well, what are we looking at here? I mean, I know what's going on, but where is my point of interest? What's drawing my eye? What?
Yeah, my eye is all over
Yeah.
it. But to that same point, it doesn't really ever leave the frame either. My eye has a
True.
lot to do before I get bored and leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. There's no strong focus. Although I think it's probably the guy.
No, I mean, like,
maybe.
What if they backed up, right? So the parade's coming towards them. They're going to be marching for a while. You back up, and you catch a silhouette of a guy walking across it and not paying attention. And so here's a sign saying rape is a men's issue, and here's a guy not paying attention. And so it's missing that cultural conflict. Like it's just too simple, and just give me some like nuance to the subject there somewhere.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant point.
Yeah, I like that. Well said.
Because especially with that long parade, you have so much opportunity to predict where they're going to be coming, and you to continue like looking for an opportunity to make something of it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the kids stomping in the rain, and that was like one moment that it happened.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on in that photo too. The kids stomping in the rain, but the difference is that there is a very clear, something happening that's drawing my eye. One element in the frame that gets my attention.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, sign, eyes, people yelling,
Yeah.
horn.
The kid that
Right.
doesn't have the phone is enjoying nature, and everyone else is just locked onto their device.
It's not Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like me some Pokemon. All right.
Nothing wrong with
That's
that.
a nice. That was a really nice selection of images, by the way. All those are great
Yeah.
pictures.
Beautiful.
Very impressive.
Yep.
And now we leave them. And we hope the next one is just as good because it will be one of our first landscape categories, the waterscape one. So
To me, this was the hardest category to judge. There are great images all throughout, but to me, all 5 of these are pretty similar in how I'd rank them. They're all very different photos, but I could kind of switch around this order anyway, and I'd feel comfortable with it. In the end, I picked my favorite as being this panorama of the snow hitting the mountains. I don't love this this softness at the top of the trees. It looks like this is we're doing a tilt shifty kind of thing, and I think just lose that. That doesn't add to the story for me. But I did pick it as my top, mostly because it has such a cool contrast of tones.
I agree
actually-
with you 100%.
I did
Varina, go
not
ahead.
mind. Did not mind that tilt shift at the top.
Brina, what are you going to say about this one?
I agree 100% with the idea that I'm not a great fan of the tilt shift effect. It doesn't kill it, but yeah, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I love the tones, I love the colors, I love the panorama crop. So this one is my number 1. In terms of the other images, I think I'm kind of going back and forth. There's the photo of the waterfall at the top. The blown out sky really drags my attention, and the very, very heavy shadows I find distracting. Beautiful composition. The boats, there's a lot of overexposure on the white part of the boats. The composition is appealing. The color of the water is definitely not. So this might be one I'd convert to black and white just to get rid of that color.
I totally agree with you on that, Varina. I think this is cool to do this, from the air and get a geometrical shape there. But the watercolor is really ugly. It's just not something you'd want on your wall.
Absolutely kills it. So yeah, definitely black and white conversion would make a huge difference here. I love the view from the top. I'd probably crop it somehow so that the lines of the docks are even left to right. On the right hand side they're really close to the edge. On the left hand side there's a lot of open space, so the image feels heavy on the right hand side. Feels heavier, because there are more boats and because it's pressed up against the edge. So I think it's an interesting shot. It needs a lot of work. Go shoot it again, get the exposure right, and convert to black and white. Make sure you've got a good crop.
We had a question. This right here was this little waterfall called Grotto Falls up Nebo Loop. I didn't go through them. So this is Willard Bay. It's a portion of Great Salt Lake, kind of separated from the rest of the lake. This being right here, also Willard Bay. So you see it's a little bit different. And then we had a high up in the Uintas mountain thing, kind of the big lake that everyone talks about is Mirror Lake. So we did that last year. So we threw in a couple of small lakes down the hill from it. So
I love the moment that the fisherman is capturing the fish. That's the thing about this image that kind of elevates it a bit. It's got great coloration. It's not overexposed. So I'm torn. Where are you placing this one? I'm putting it right now at a solid 3, only because I can't find anything to pick apart about it. It's well done. It's straight. It's not overly vibrant. It's not vignetted. I say that is vignetted, but it's not vignetted purposefully. It looks like it's really well done. I have nothing to pick apart here.
I agree. This to me is either tied with number 1 or a close second.
Oh man, this is number 5 for me.
Really?
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's so safe. They just went real wide with it. Get over his shoulder. Let me see his hands on the reel looking down to the fish. You're playing with the symmetry of the clouds and the sun dropping down. But okay, take away the guy catching a fish. Is it a good enough sunset for an awesome photo. Like, take away the sunset. Is it an awesome enough picture of him catching a fish? But it's all of them together, and it's only because of like a few points here, a few points here, a few points there that it becomes the image.
I agree. It's a pretty obvious angle to take this from. Like if you were to get 50 photographers would probably stand here.
Yeah. Go get
Okay.
gutsy, get creative. Like, come on, show me something.
That's a good point, and it makes me lean more towards the photo of the log with the snow on it pointing out into the water, because that's a more unique composition.
Yeah, see, but from a person who sells portraiture for a living, the guy who's catching that fish, he's buying that picture, and he's going to buy a really big one.
Well, congrats, you made one sale.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a $750 print. I like the picture a lot. I see what you're saying. It's very safe, but it is what it is. So where it is, I have it right in the middle right now, and I'm trying to decide if there's why should I push it up or down. I don't know. That's why I'm listening to everyone.
I just wanted to take another moment, just because the beauty of this kind of just like hit me again. I'm like, they all had the exact same shot, the same amount of days, the same places that they could have gone to, and just look at this wide variety of what they choose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They all could have been there photographing this guy, but they were probably up in the mountains or doing something else, you know.
And
their strategy and their timing. It's so fun.
Good time to point out that we really did make a jump from the intermediate to the advanced. Like this is an exciting new round of images to choose from.
These are all very good. I mean, we're not finding the easy. Now it's almost subjective. I mean, it's like, what do we prefer? Like this Grotto Falls picture for me, I love this picture. It is warm. I love the fact that they dragged the shutter on this one. They didn't go for the whatever the obvious exposure would have been. Yes, you have to sacrifice the sky for it, but look at all the greenery and the lichen and everything else that's in here, and that detail in the stones. Not pushed or pulled far enough for me to go, hey, that's too vibrant. So this for me is a solid number 2. I really like this picture.
Nice. Okay, this one's a hard one.
Yeah.
Go through it. Try it out.
I think we all have the same number 1 though, that with the pine trees. Am I wrong? Is there somebody who has something else as number 1? I think Ben mentioned something different. Or was it Tim?
Wait. What is the
I had the pine trees as number 1.
The
vertical is your number 1?
The pine
the
trees.
horizontal pine trees.
The
That's
panel.
my number 2. I've got the waterfalls. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so this mossy scene it gets me.
Yeah,
the shadows are too dark. No.
And the water's like a little trickle.
Ooh, the water's blue.
We had some people bailing water, but they couldn't go fast enough.
Yeah.
Hey, just one note as a drone flyer myself. Scott, maybe consider doing a drone category next year. But look at the left side, how you're getting that barrel distortion from the very wide lens.
Yeah.
And that, I think, where you could crop in and maybe do a little bit of push and pull to straighten that out. But that barrel distortion on the wide drones, like it's one of the key moments where you're like, oh, this is another drone shot. So challenge to the photographers with drones, like look for opportunities to crop out those edges or find ways to not show that barrel distortion of the super wide lens.
Good stuff. People watching this are probably loving this. All right. Well, they definitely were. They're sticking around. They're all still here. This is great. We are headed off to thematic to see what they came up with the different themes. By the way, there is a 3rd division at this event. It was the non-competitive, where you didn't have to have a team and you didn't have to, you could be advanced. I even played in it, and there was advanced. There was beginners with their cell phones. It was all over the board, but it wasn't competitive. You're not supposed to be ranked against each other. So we didn't do 3rd round for it. So just in case people were wondering, they still got ratings. They're still going to get some points to make them feel like, oh, how am I doing? And next year I'm going to do better. And what did I do well? What did I not do well? But we're not trying to put them against other people, like, me against. That's the only reason I could play, because it was not competitive. So, all right, we are over here in thematic. We've got compete, explore, and Pokemon. We've got explore again, but no, we got compete. We got explore. We've got explore. We've got compete. And we've got explore. No Pokemon made it to this round. And no Pokemon were harmed in filming this video.
All right. So for me, I think number one is the third one, the one in the middle there with the person standing on it.
Boom. Agreed.
Sand dune. The only thing
Agreed.
that bugs me is that they either have bright red bug eyes or they've got something stuck to the
They're
side
wearing
of
a
their
hat.
head
They're
that's
wearing a hat.
glowing red. But why is it lit up?
Well, it looks like to me, it looks like this person was about ready to place a strobe and it went off intermittently or before the shot. And they just happened to catch the lightning in the background and it kind of came together. I don't put this one as the strongest image just because it looks like it was somewhat accidental. I mean, the lighting is very interesting and they look like they have a great idea, but there's something that just didn't get finished here. Like if you would have gotten it down and turned around or been looking into the distance, but it looks like he was about to place the light and someone pulled the trigger early and went, hey, look, we got lightning, let's use this one. But I really like it. It's just not the strongest image.
I
the most
disagree.
dramatic.
I really like this image. I agree that it's not perfect, but I think it's very strong. I definitely don't think it was anywhere near accidental. I mean, the light painting here on the dunes looks quite on purpose to me, coming from camera right. I think the light that we're seeing, this weird red, I think the person is holding a strobe in front of them to try to do a rim light, and they probably should have had it under that dune shining up from a little bit further away. But I think it's super strong, especially the composition here. Love the triangle shape of the dune, and the person right in the middle here is super cool. You know, things that could have improved. The lightning is very dim here. I think that could have been brought out quite a bit, at least in post-processing. Imperfect, but really creative and definitely has a mood to it. So for me, it's my number one.
Does anyone have it at different number one? Let's move to a different image. Chat about a different image.
I do.
Okay, go for it.
I like the woman with the camera. Again, another one. Yeah, another one that, I mean, it's a really it's a nicely done portrait. I mean, she's obviously focused on what she's doing. We have no exposure problems with the image. There's nothing in here that disappoints me. And I don't look at it like, well, that was accidental or whatever. I like the picture overall. I think it's really great. I love the color of the hair against the so I'm trying to look at this from a color wheel perspective and how we're looking at our complementary colors and so on. The color of her hair and the color of the mountains in the background, I just really like the color tone of the image as well. So who knew what she was going to wear that day would work out real well. But I like the pants against the brown in the background. I like the picture.
It feels like they got a professional model to be part of this, and obviously that wasn't the case. But it feels like of that caliber.
Yeah, I bet the photographer who heard you say that is like, yes. Yeah, it's really, I really like it.
I think the aperture here, the choice of aperture to let the background fade out a little bit, but not so much that you can't tell what's going on back there. I think that really helps to make the subject stand out. So I really like this image too.
I thought the composition on this was a little boring. I like the overall aesthetic of it. It very much feels like a stock photo to me. But you know, her head is placed halfway up the top, up, you know, the vertical line. It's not really a creative perspective here. It's just shooting on, you know, 90 degrees to her. Just kind of felt like an obvious kind of boring perspective to me. But I like the overall aesthetic of the photo. I think it really is nice, and I did rank it high. But it didn't feel, didn't ring real creative to me.
What do you guys think of the flower shot? I shoot a lot of flowers because I walk around the backyard. Like I want to get out of my office and go outside and shoot. And I have a lot of flowers in my backyard, and I'm always shooting things. I like the fact that they used it in the compete category, which is kind of, so you have the tallest flower in the middle. Kind of a cute idea there. Nice depth of field, good focus. Where are you putting this one?
I can't figure out where to put this one. I actually agree with you. I like that it's sort of a unique take on the theme, which is great. I find that my eye should go to the tallest flower, right? I feel like it should. What it definitely should not go to is the pink flower on the right. That, to me, the fact that that is sharp, it hurts the photo. I want a slight shift, of the camera, a little different angle so that that falls out of focus. It doesn't bother me that some of the other white flowers are out of focus, but it does bother me, that some of the other white flowers are in focus. But it does bother me that that pink flower is in focus. So maybe I'm nitpicking here, but there it is.
I like the velvety contrast of this one and the colors. Like we were talking about some of the other images where the colors are taking away, and this one feels rich in a pleasing way.
All right.
The colors really are strong.
So
the guy?
Down here,
Yeah.
what are we thinking? Explore.
It's a decent photo. I like the snowfall at the same time the picture is shot. It's obviously he's planning when he's going to shoot. It's good. I mean, all the pictures in this image are good. I just don't think it's as strong as the other ones we've discussed.
Varina pointed out on the other one that the background falls off, and in this one it stays more detailed than I need to like dive into. So I'd let that fall out more, like open the aperture a little bit more and let that bokeh out a bit.
It did. I think it does help. The vertical line does help kind of draw you back into the face, though. So if you look at the figure and then you wander away, you kind of draw back into it. But I think you're right.
I think there are two things that bug me about this photo. There's a lot going for it, so I'm not trying to suggest that it's a bad photo. It's definitely not. It's an excellent photo. But there are two things that are grabbing my attention. One is that the snow is blown out and the water behind him. Oh, actually, that might be snow as well behind him. Also blown out. So the snow along that big long diagonal log is completely blown. There's no detail there, so it's distracting. And the other thing is the crop is really tight on him. He doesn't even feel like he can stand up. He's really cramped. So those two things kind of get me. But
let me out of my box.
Right.
He's stuck in the photo.
Sorry, buddy, you can't stand up. But no, seriously, I do think it's a beautiful photo. I like that he's kind of looking off into the distance, trying to, you can see that's what we all do when we're out there shooting, is sort of look at our subject and figure it out before we put the camera up. So I identify with it, but yeah, I think there's some minor weaknesses in that photo. It's not as compelling as some of the others.
Okay. The only one we haven't mentioned is this one. Is that because it's in the middle, or is it because it is? Where is it?
I have it ranked in the bottom. I just don't see anything about this that is stronger than the other images.
Ben?
I'm sorry if the photographers listen, but this one doesn't belong in this spot. It's number 5 for me.
Okay. Makes you wonder what else was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the foreground. The foreground is nice, and that they captured the figure. And I can't tell what she looks like. I can't tell what she's thinking. I don't have any story to go with it. It's just a person.
And I meant, like, it makes you wonder what else was in the competition. The other pictures that didn't make it here. So interesting.
Hey, can I jump back on that number 1, or the funky lightning light one?
Mm-hmm.
The Road to Mordor.
Yeah. So this is a night one, and this one gets me all fired up. You guys mentioned that the lightning bolt isn't so strong, but then they also balance the lightning with the light pollution on the right, and so you have these two natural elements that are kind of equal. And they allowed the person with the strobe. It looks like a strobe. It might be a headlamp, but I'm guessing a strobe. And that is brighter than the other two elements. So you don't have a choice but to kind of be looking at the person first. And if you inverted that and imagine the lightning brighter and the light pollution brighter, I think it would feel weird about darting back and forth between those two left and right elements and then skipping the person in the middle. So I think they made a good choice on that exposure change. And then Jim, you mentioned that the light seemed to be coming from camera right. But there's a lot of there's some complex stuff going. Like, look at the dune shift, how the shadow is on the right side. So the light's coming from camera left, and it's distributed pretty well over these like crazy texture of the sand and stuff.
Yeah, it's a raking light. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty low, like headlights almost.
I can't quite figure out, but it's not. It's impressive.
Yeah, this shadow right in the middle seems to be from the dune to the right of it, and that's why I said I think the lights on the dunes is coming from camera right.
Oh, you think it's casting it onto that?
See, I don't see that either. I see exactly what Ben sees. I see it's kind of like this shadow you see there is from an overhang hanging over the dune, camera right. Yeah. But I can now I see what Jim sees. I've seen both.
I think there might be.
I wonder if we're seeing some cross light. I think you could be right. I think this is crosslit because if you look on the left, there are like a couple little clumps of sand, and the shadows are to the right.
You know what? That's a giant divot up the middle. That's a giant divot up the middle.
And then so there's a light left, there's a light right, and then the person in the middle is strobe or headlamp. It's like this is a complex image, and either they composited the lightning into it, or they got lucky, or they did this like 15 times in a row until they got a lightning strike.
Well, there's no way you catch lightning like that. So you either use an intervalometer or a trigger that, yeah.
Well, if you're light painting it, it's already going to be a long exposure, so it could have happened, sure.
You can keep doing this over and over and holding still and repeating until you get it, or composite it in. I don't know, but there's a lot going on here from a night photography perspective.
More things to think about. And I have a question from the peanut gallery, from the comments, of how did they get to these top 5? We had one set of judges that went through every picture, rated them. The possibility was 5 to 25 points, and those judges could give a few, like a nod to a few pictures and give them a few bonus points. So in the first round, you could get up to 30 points. In the second round, only some of the pictures made it there. And any picture that made it there got a few extra bonus points. It's not a lot, like 7 more, right? It could be, 4 to 7. Again, the photographers could give a nod to the pictures they wanted to give a little extra boost to, a little bit bonus points. And so after both rounds, that's what determined the top 5. So you may have had, 20 pictures to start it off, or a clean, 15 in this advance, and then it went down to 8, and then it went down to 5, that sort of thing. It being a smaller, our first public event, it was a smaller number of pictures. So
impressive. Did I lose you guys, or you just all get quiet?
Everybody's quiet.
That's the first
silence.
This is the 11-minute lull.
Yeah. Yeah, I come by it honestly. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning here, so.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I have to get up at 5:30. Did I mention that?
Oh man, Scott, you better throttle this.
Did we lose Jarvis here?
We might have.
Oh.
All right. Well,
let's
move on. Let's move to real salt product photography here.
All right, cool.
Jim, you got it. What's your top image?
Hey, my favorite was this one that I'm showing here with the potatoes in the background. I think it shows the product nice and clear in the front, no question about where the product is, and I think we're nicely arranged to the side. My second favorite was this with the vegetables, but I feel like the salt was a little bit lost, which is the point of the photo. We're supposed to show off the salt, a product photo for them, and also the vegetables got pretty vibrant here. This one for VidAngel of the kid looking at the iPad is a cool photo. The lighting is neat, but I feel like the expression on his face is not something I would choose if I were wanting to advertise my product. This looks like, kid vegging all night long on video. It's probably isn't exactly what they would want to do, but the overall aesthetic I think is really cool. The next, the real salt in the water. I ranked this one second to last. Just kind of makes me think soggy salt. Just again, not something that I'd want to send the message about my product. And the one that I chose as last was this one, just kind of the pile of salt and the salt shaker on the left. Just felt a little bit lacking in interest. Just felt a little bit generic. So that was kind of my rundown on all 5.
It's a great rundown.
Yeah.
Yeah, really solid.
My only disagreement would be the VidAngel one I put as my last picture because I couldn't even tell what the product was. Like, I don't know what is being sold here. And he looks bored. So the salt one with the water falling down, the water looks muddy. So my first reaction to this was there's salt in a muddy water. I like the idea. The concept is solid, but I think that the water that they picked or whatever they're using is when you shoot product photography and you're going to use water, you typically want to put something under the water that's going to catch your light and bring it back up in any splashes. I like a lot of the light that they did in a lot of these. So you typically write light product photography from the back or from the sides. I agree with your last pick with the salt shaker with the softbox or whatever the light modifier is. A crossing the label should have been tucked a little more around the sides. But yeah, I love your first pick is right on for me too.
Yep.
Hey, question for you guys. That number 1, the real salt with the nice cornucopia of stuff. There's like some glare on that wrapper. Would a polarizer have helped cut that down, or is there nothing to do about that?
I think moving the light modifier around to the edge more. Having, typically just want to kind of get it around there, you would use a reflector. Polarizer is kind of difficult on a curved surface.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have tried using a polarizer like on somebody's glasses, and I'd say it probably takes, knocks 20% off, but doesn't totally get rid of it.
It would have helped.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's my favorite by far.
But you could have sprayed the front of that bottle with a matte spray as well to drop the reflection. I mean, there's a lot of things a food stylist brings to the table that a photographer doesn't think about, and that's one of them. A matte spray. Oh, gee, you can just spray it so it isn't reflective anymore. Well, all right, problem solved.
Huh,
I haven't heard of that. That's cool.
I didn't know about that either.
Let's get a little,
because we're not food stylists. Yeah, that's a whole separate thing.
So speaking of that, there's a little bit of stray salt on the top of the lid. Like, clean that stuff off. That's
yeah.
That's the little details that the clients will freak out on you later. I know, because I've had to deal with it.
but it is by far and away the best image here. I mean, it really sells the story to me. And
just this is a random side note because Jarvis is not here to stop us, right? When you're shooting these kind of things, I did this when I was in law school a lot, just to earn some extra money. I would just, we'd go get groceries and I'd set up something like this and then put like 50 products in front of it and sell them all as stock. And they'll earn about $1 per image per month on stock, which isn't much until you have like 150 pictures. And then it's pretty cool to get $150 a month. So when you get a setup like this, just throw all kinds of random crud on there.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a really good way to learn to light, though. I mean, so I make my wife coffees and I make her lattes, and I'm always trying to light them in different ways. And I learned so much about how to do it the wrong way repeatedly. There's a guy named Alex Kulikov on YouTube.
Oh, he's great. Good guy.
On Facebook, yeah. Great, amazing product photographer. If you ever want to learn anything, he has a really great show where he covers a lot of this stuff. And you can learn so much just watching his videos. But, yeah, I mean, these are good.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, feel solid on this one.
It's getting late.
Yep. 4 to go.
Plants.
All right.
Yep, plants. All right, so I'll tell you right away, I'm a fiend for grass. Anytime we see grass, I got to stop and take a picture of it. And I love this. It's like almost a pampas grass picture. Beautifully well done.
Can you, Jim, can you throw your screen up just so I can see if